Jamming my key card into my room lock, I burst through the door. A beat later, a rough hand is clamping over my mouth. Please don't do this, Renzo. You don't know what's at stake. But the cologne smells different. The hard body plastered to my back is all wrong. There's none of Renzo's dirty, savage elegance in the way I'm being manhandled. "I have a message from Moscow," a voice snarls, before I'm being hurled to the carpet with force. I go down hard, my body a cloudy haze of pain, as my wrists and knees bear the brunt of the violence. A beat later, his boot is connecting with my stomach and robbing my lungs of air. "My Pakan wanted you to have a little motivation for tomorrow, should your loyalties start to waver." Kneeling down next to me, he flicks my hair from my face as I wheeze and gasp for mercy. "Please." I try to crawl away, but he grabs hold of my ankle and drags me back. "You don't need to do this. I'd never—" "Hush, Suka." His thick voice caresses before he's driving his fist into my ribcage. "There is only so much damage I can do. I have strict instructions not to leave any visible bruises."
Chapter 10. Renzo. Our gazes lock, the air crackling as tension beats a chaotic rhythm between us. I memorize every inch of her face, branding myself with the image of her wide eyes and frightened expression as the elevator doors close. There's an unfamiliar pressure in my chest. Is it an image derived from a fear of discovery, or the pride of deception? 5 minutes later, I'm still staring at my reflection in the steel doors. I have little doubt she'll be double-locking her hotel suite right about now in anticipation of being followed. Had we not called unwanted attention to ourselves, I might have fulfilled her expectation. I knew what she was doing the moment she sashayed that dangerously tempting ass toward the bar. I indulged her 2 lies and a truth diversion to feed her the information she wanted. Then I watched her choke on it. Tatiana didn't walk away because the game scraped a little too close to the surface. She walked away because it took an unexpected turn. One useful byproduct of being the black sheep of the family is forced self-sufficiency. But it was living in Nero's shadow and Rosalia's light that taught me the art of intuition. When to watch, when to listen, and when to strike. A woman like Tatiana needs to hate me. She needs to believe in monsters and the devil, as she so aptly called me. She needs to convince herself I'm nothing but a vessel for evil, and that's why I handed her the truth. Not to earn her allegiance, but to gauge where hers lies. And I found it in that tattoo, in those fucking text messages. This thought clouds my head as I return to the bar, hard logic warring with something else I can't put a name to. Slipping back into my vacated chair, I slide my phone from my pocket while motioning for another drink. It's only after listening to the second ring that I glance up to find the same bartender standing motionless, a scowl on his face. He was 1 bullet away from losing a hand when he inserted himself into my business 5 minutes ago. Now he's treading in fatal waters. He glares. I stare. Neither of us moves or speaks. On the 5th ring, Killian's voice comes on the line. "Car's on its way." Good. I also need intel on every Bratva cell in London, as well as any connection they may have with Vasily or Oleg Belov. Remembering the black ink on her pale skin, I add, or with Tatiana Sanders. I don't know if the 3 are connected, but at this point, everyone is guilty until proven otherwise. There's a hesitation. And then, "Bratva, Renzo. That's a line even you don't want to cross." Killian Davies seems to have some grave misconceptions of the men he's chosen to align himself with. My family has a history of crossing all kinds of lines. If he thinks I'm the first Marchesi to flip a middle finger and walk into the line of fire to prove a point, He hasn't done his due diligence. I didn't ask for your opinion. I lower my voice because my business isn't for public consumption. You'll be well compensated for your troubles. It's not a matter of money, mate. It's... There's a heavy sigh of resignation. Does this have anything to do with Renero? My tongue sweeps over my dry lips, his question hammering into me. Everything has to do with Renero. Every move, every kill, every blackmail. In that waited pause, I think of Peshara, of Vasily, and his bait-and-switch cage match offer. How he dangled Oleg like a fucking carrot, knowing I'd kill every man in that place just to get my hands on that traitor. I think of his smug expression as he'd revealed his brother's fate. Maybe Miss Sanders isn't the only one with a few sins to atone for. I'm not sure yet, I answered truthfully. But I'm not leaving London until I find out. I reach for my whiskey, only to find the same empty glass sitting in front of me. As Killian rambles on about risks and consequences and hidden agendas, I return my gaze to the stone-faced bartender. Message me when you have something. Ending the call, I shoved my phone back into my pocket without breaking eye contact. There's nothing intimidating about the man glaring at me from across the bar. He's an average-sized British asshole with a hero complex. A confident son of a bitch, I'll give him that. But confidence only takes a man so far before ignorance leads him down a dangerous path. His white knight act was unnecessary. My intention was to rattle Tatiana, not to hurt her. I may be a killer, but when it comes to women, the only danger I pose comes from a bullet, never my fist. We seem to have a communication problem, I say calmly.
No problem here.
Holding my stare, he wipes down the bar while dumping my empty glass in the sink.
But we reserve the right not to serve those we deem to be a threat.
A threat?
The way you manhandled that young woman, sir,
he retorts, the pleasantry as natural as a mouthful of thumbtacks.
We don't tolerate that at the Animal Park Hotel. I have a good mind to alert the manager.
My mouth spreads into a vicious smile. That won't be necessary. Tilting my head, I scan the name printed on his hotel badge. Because here's the thing, Grant. Grabbing the striped tie under his shitty blue blazer, I give the knot a hard shove up into his trachea. I don't make threats. I'm more of the take action type. Releasing his tie, I step back. There's no need for further explanation. He'll find out soon enough. He nods, his face paling.
Very well, sir.
Lowering his gaze, his shaking hand reaches for the cloth and he drags it across the counter again. Rising from my seat, I toss a 20-pound note down on the counter and walk an unhurried stride away from the bar. I didn't choose this hotel on a whim. As I told Tatiana earlier, I know everyone who's worth knowing, as well as every aspect of their business. My family operates out of New Jersey, but every Italian underground is like a cracked windshield. Dozens of small fractures splinter in every direction across the glass, but they all originate from one break. The Marchesi Empire isn't bound by American soil. We have contacts all over the globe. Luckily for him, I've become more selective of the blood that stains my hands these days, and he isn't worth my time. As I make my way back through the lobby, each step grows heavy with intent. It's time for another game of lies and truth with Miss Sanders, with a greater emphasis on the latter. Keeping my eyes averted from the pastel walls, I head for the elevator, my mind filled with the unwanted image of her face. That irate, terrified, infuriatingly beautiful face that gazed at me with determination and regret for a fraction of a second before the doors closed. Then I hear Vasily's warning in my head.
That girl is no innocent.
He's right. She's a Molotov cocktail. One wrong step in her line of fire and we'll both go down in flames. A couple of steps out from the open carriage, my phone vibrates in my pocket. Without slowing my stride, I yank it out and answer it. Killian, I told you. Lorenzo, where the hell are you? Lorenzo. Only one man calls me by my given name. The same man I've been avoiding for 3 months, whose demands can't be met until every drop of Nero's blood is washed from my hands. Who, until I lay the head of his son's killer at his feet, will never see me as anything other than a poor replacement. Hello to you too, Dad. Don't be an asshole, he says with a growl. Your Uncle Sal informed me the jet departed Teterboro early this morning. Good news travels fast. What do you think you're doing? His demand is dangerously calm. I don't bother answering because I know what's coming next. It's been 3 months of silence, Renzo. You're about to become my goddamn underboss. I slip in an alcove next to the elevator. My response is short as my patience. Don't you think I know that? Other than finding Nero's killer, becoming underboss is the only thing I want in life. But it's a responsibility I claimed, then kept at arm's length. Anything to prevent Uncle Sal and Paulie from swinging their dicks around and gaining support for an honor that wasn't meant for them. A door slams somewhere in the background. Questions are being asked, and I can't keep making excuses for you. Then don't. I'm done waiting, Renzo. You're my son, but I'm the boss of this family, and I won't have it weakened by a hole in the infrastructure. Meaning? Meaning the ceremony will take place tonight. That's going to be a little difficult, considering I'm in London. There's a pause. Are you still chasing that fucking painting? I clench my fist. That fucking painting is the reason your son is dead. You remember the one you groomed from birth to run your empire? Lorenzo, you made me wait 33 years for the chance to prove I have what it takes to rule beside you. Now it's your turn to wait. Since being named Nero's successor, I've given numerous excuses to delay the closed-door ceremony that solidifies my position as underboss of the Marchesi crime family. As far as I'm concerned, I can't take his place until his killer is brought to justice. You have 48 hours, he says coldly, or I have no choice. Meaning? Spell it out and throw down the gauntlet, Dad. Or Salvatore gets the job. And the man who has zero blood ties to my family gains more control of it. Salvatore is not family, I seethe. Family is blood. What do you call Dario, then? His son, a fucking barone, I deadpan, because frankly I'm tired of having this argument. Heavy tension crackles on the line. If there was a way around this, don't you think I would have found it already? My father counters sharply. Ever since your brother's death, this whole family has been a tilted house of cards. If we don't show a united front, the whole damn thing will come crashing down around us. Then light a match and burn it. I hear that old leather chair in his office creak as he leans back. He wants to admonish me, but he knows traveling down that road will only lead to a dead end. 48 hours, Renzo, he says finally. If I was on edge before, now I'm a powder keg ready to explode. I respect my father, but I also don't take well to threats. To avoid saying anything that can't be taken back, I end the call quickly. He's wrong. Family is everything. Being his underboss is my future. But I can't do right by either with this question mark hanging over my head. It feels too much like treachery to my brother, the man whom most of New Jersey believes I murdered to secure a seat of power. There's only one way I can clear my name and make this right. In less than 24 hours, I'll be one step closer to unmasking his killer in an auction house 1 mile from here. In 48, I'll return home and claim my throne. Fear has a unique smell. It's contradictory and offbeat, like 100 dirty pennies soaking in sweet molasses. It hits you one way, then knocks you the other. That's how I know something's wrong the moment I walk toward my hotel suite. I smell it. That sweet, coppery odor. The hallway is flooded with it, so I draw my gun, release the safety, then press my back against the wall between our 2 suite doors. I listen for movement on either side, but all is quiet, until a muffled scream seeps out from underneath the one to my left. Tatiana's room. Stealth is no longer a concern. Driving my foot into the door, the blunt force of my kick splinters the wood from its hinges. As the remains scatter in all directions, I storm into a room with my gun aimed high and my finger on the trigger. It takes a fraction of a second to register what I'm seeing, but in my head, it's hours. The pressure in my chest returns, but this time it doesn't just squeeze, it detonates. Tatiana is lying on the floor next to the bed, her arms curled protectively around her stomach. An ugly fuck of a man covered in tattoos looms above her, fisting her hair while driving the steel toe of his boot into her ribcage. Fucking suka! Drawing his gun, he spits on her groaning body before swinging the barrel toward me. The edges of my vision darken, and all I see is Nero's lifeless body tangled with Tatiana's screams. Everything moves in slow motion, my restraint snapping as more darkness rolls in. That's when the unforgiving black walls go up, and there's nothing left but empty rage. I'm not in control anymore. Whatever lives inside here is a killing machine. I feel myself lunge at him, the impact knocking the gun out of his hand. The lamp goes crashing to the floor as we both hit the nightstand, flipping it over and landing beside it. I wrap my fingers around the Glock in my hand, and then I strike. And again. And again. I hear the crunch of breaking bones and a voice I don't recognize. You fucking touched her. You fucking touched what's mine. There's a shuffling noise behind me and rapid breathing. It's too fast. She's not okay. Who are you? I hear myself roar. Below me, a blood-stained mouth spreads into a twisted smile. Marchesi. Who sent you? The black walls grow thicker, rising higher. They're closing in on me. But somewhere in that place where light is afraid to shine, a moment of clarity lasers in on his wrist. A Bratva tattoo, the same as hers. He touched her. The rest of him is a bloody mess, but the monster inside me isn't satisfied. Grabbing a jagged piece of glass from the broken crystal lamp, I drive the sharpest point through the back of his hand, ignoring the pain as it slices into my own palm. He spat on her. Wrenching the glass out, I soak in his screams as I pry open his mouth. He kicked her. All my demons chant as I drive the glass through his tongue before I'm twisting behind and sinking it one last time into his thigh. Next, I'm squeezing my hands around his throat. Who's your fucking pahan? The man beneath me doesn't move. He doesn't fight. He doesn't run. He laughs, a defiant gurgle spilling blood from the corners of his lips as he garbles out a forked-tongued version of "Go to hell." Releasing his throat, I slam my palm down onto his forehead and pin him to the floor while shoving my gun in his mouth. You first. I pulled the trigger, then watch as my black walls turn to red.
Chapter 11. Tatiana. There's a blanket of pain smothering me. It's not rough enough to require hospital treatment, but it's still aching from the Patsan's punches. When the single gunshot rings out, I pull it tighter around me, content to drown in it, until 2 strong arms are lifting me up from the floor. "Easy," I hear him say, pulling me close, holding my aching body with a tenderness that should be anathema to a criminal like him. "Is anything broken?" Yes, me. I shattered a long time ago, and now my parts don't fit together like they should. "Tell me where it hurts." All over, inside and out. "Fuck, Tatiana, talk to me. I can have a medic here in 5 minutes. My response is to snake my arms around his neck and bury my face into his shirt. I hate myself for it, but I need his strength. Mine doesn't seem to be working anymore, even though weakness is a marked card only a fool would show him. So far, he's nearly killed me twice and managed to crowbar his way into the first compartment of my box of secrets. Still, I cling to him because there's no one else to cling to. I've been forced to push every single person I care about away by a man who just had me beaten up, and for what? For banging on the bars of an invisible cage Constantine's kept me locked inside for years? Renzo holds me like this until the blanket starts to slip, until the pain in my stomach and ribs isn't quite as sharp. Beneath my cheek, his shirt is soaked through, and my eyes feel sore and scratchy. Have I been crying? I'm not sure what shocks me the most, the fact I shed tears in front of someone, or that it was him who I fell apart for. My enemy. My ally. Who knew a London hotel turndown service could be as pleasant as a New Jersey one? He shifts his weight to gain access to his back pocket. Killian, I need a cleanup crew in Suite 203 right away. I overhear a curse of disbelief, followed by a terse rebuke. I don't give a damn how it looks. There's a dead asshole lying 3 feet away from me with a bullet in his head. Save the British outrage for another day and do as I say. He hangs up and chucks his phone across the room. That's when it hits me. He's just killed my attacker. Once Constantine finds out about this, I might never set foot in Moscow again. Panic courses through me like a bad vintage with a bitter aftertaste. I try to pull away from him, but the arm draped around my shoulder tightens like a vice. Let me go, Renzo, I plead. I'm okay, just bruised. That man didn't come here to kill me. He pauses. And how the fuck would you know that? Think before you speak, Tatiana. Every insight you give him is more ammunition for our war. This time, I'm tugging away from him with a vicious jerk, digging my elbows into his chest, but the bastard's not relenting. You need to let go of me, right now. I've been manhandled enough tonight. Not so fast. His grip turns to iron as he rises to his feet, my body still cradled in his arms. Swatting away my protests, he carries me out of the room and into his, kicking the door shut behind him, hard enough to make the doorframe rattle. Put me down! We've been dancing around each other long enough, Tatiana. 5 minutes ago, the music just ended, along with all your excuses. I drum my fists against his chest, but he just bats them away. I struggle harder, but he doesn't even flinch. Instead, he walks me straight into his bathroom and then inside the shower cubicle, slamming the heel of his bloody hand against the shower faucet. It springs to life immediately, dousing us both in freezing cold water. What the hell are you doing? I scream, my silk dress molding obscenely to my curves in a matter of seconds, gasping and spluttering for breath as a million tiny needles pierce my skin. Giving the Ice Empress an ice bath. With this, he drops me to my feet on the slippery shower floor. I'm putting you back in your natural habitat. Oh, and you're welcome for saving your life back there. Do you have any idea what you've done? I try to push him away, but he's an immovable object. You haven't saved my life, Renzo Marchesi. You've gone and made it 1,000,000 times worse. Didn't you just hear what I said? That man had no intention of killing me.
No, just to rough you up and maybe fracture a couple of bones. That a typical night for you, Dolcezza?
God, he's so stunning in his fury, so merciless. Like all my walls might shatter on his command, along with the walls to this cubicle. You're such a selfish bastard. I explode, terrified by how vulnerable he's making me feel suddenly. You only see your pain and no one else's.
That's bullshit.
You don't give a damn about anyone except yourself. Somehow it's easier to show him emotion when the water's trying to drown me out. I'm battling against outside forces and it's unleashing things I'd never normally say.
Is that really what you think?
Fuck you! I scream as he pins my wrist to the white tiles above my head, looking so savagely dark and handsome, towering over me like this, with his black hair flattened and dripping into his eyes, and his long eyelashes separated.
Your language drops along with your mask when you're backed against a wall, Dolcezza. We should try the hot water next and see what happens.
With this, he rams his hand against the faucet again.
Hell, maybe this will melt you back to life.
A beat later, scalding heat is stripping the cold from my skin and flowing like lava through my veins, along with something else I'd rather die than ever acknowledge.
Are you working for Vasily Belov?
He demands, slamming my wrists against the tiles again.
Is that why he sent me to you?
Belov. The last name makes me shiver despite the heat. I have no idea who you're talking about.
Is he the reason you have the Bratva tattoo on your skin? Or maybe that's his brother Oleg's doing?
The tattoo was a stupid mistake during high school. I was grounded for a week because of it. I glare back, watching as he shakes his head with a twisted smile on his face.
You've told so many lies, Tatiana. You wouldn't know the truth if it bled you dry. If you were a man, I would have tortured this out of you by now.
I don't know anyone named Belov.
Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But you're wrong about one thing.
He takes a half step closer, pressing his chest against mine, something even harder nudging against my stomach and sending another shiver coursing through me.
I don't just see my pain, Tatiana. I see yours, too. I saw it the moment I stepped into your art gallery and found you hiding amongst your paintings. Somewhere along the way, you chose to lose yourself in them because the alternative of living in the real world was too fucking awful to contemplate.
Inhaling sharply, I let his words plant poisonous vines inside me as the lock to another of my box of secrets shatters.
Am I getting close yet, Empress?
He says, his mouth hovering right over mine, hot water spilling all around, making us one.
Because as pretty as those canvases are, I much prefer your truth.
I go to laugh in his face, but my composure crumbles. I can't stop thinking about what I've lost, sitting all alone in Moscow, clutching the brown teddy bear I gave her the night she was born. A beat later, I'm crying again, hating him again, spilling my heart and fears to him again. He won't let me see her, I scream helplessly. He won't let me see her.
Who won't?
He demands.
Who are you talking about?
I can't tell you.
God damn it.
The grip on my wrists tightens, and then my next words are caught in the snare of his lips as his mouth is smashing down onto mine. My body responds like the worst kind of traitor, straining against my restraints to press myself against him, accepting his rough intrusion, groaning as his hands drop to cup my jaw as he deepens the kiss, driving an unforgiving tongue inside me. My arms find their way around his neck as he pushes me back against the tiles, hungering for something I haven't wanted in forever myself. His touch numbing all my doubt. "Fuck," he hisses, pulling back to look at me for a second, before he's claiming my mouth again, our mutual canvas of hate stripping back to reveal the sketches of our lust underneath.
Jesus Christ.
His hand moves between my legs, and I moan into his mouth, keeping my eyes shut tight from the stinging water as I clutch at his wet forearms to keep myself upright. Sliding my panties to the side, he thrusts one finger inside me as my leg curls around his thigh to give him all the access he wants.
I need to taste you right now, Dolcezza.
I hear him snarl, his urgency making me moan with desire. As if he'd give me any choice. I feel so fragile in his hands, a shell cracked open by a brutally handsome force of nature. I feel safe for the first time in years. With the water still falling, he sinks to his knees, hooking his thumbs into my panties and dragging them down with him, coaxing my leg around his shoulder. He spreads me wide with his fingers and wraps those talented lips around my clit. My lower back jackknifes away from the tiles as the sensation reverberates in every nerve. Oh, God. I tip my head back, my fingers tangling up in his wet hair as he slides me over his face, burying his tongue inside me, fucking me for a few leisurely strokes, then letting his own fingers take over, pressing in one and then two, massaging a spot that makes my knees buckle. At the same time, he's back circling my clit again, alternating it with vicious sucks as my head spins wildly. I can't even feel the water anymore. It's nothing compared to the molten heat in my core, spilling out onto his face and down my thighs. He devours me like he hasn't eaten in a decade, growling out all the filthy things he wants to do to my pussy, my face, my ass. How he wants to paint every inch of my creamy skin with his cum. He's so cruel, too. He knows exactly when I'm on the edge because he pulls back, suspending me in a delicious limbo until I'm rocking into him in desperation, fucking his face as hard as his fingers and mouth are fucking me as we chase down my release together. Just when I think his sadism can't blur more lines, his fingers slip from my pussy, and he starts massaging my back passage. A beat later, I'm hit by such a violent wave of pleasure that I'm screaming out his name as a prayer and a curse, and he's grabbing my hips to stop me from falling. Resting my head back against the tiles, the water still pouring down on us, it feels like I'm drowning in the mess he's made of me. He's still on his knees, his hands still planted to my hips, my soaking wet dress pushed higher, allowing him to trail soft kisses across my lower stomach. He's silent, too, absorbing the scene as much as I am, as I loosen my grip on his hair. When I finally glance down, he's tracing a finger along the smooth scar that a Russian surgeon made after 36 hours of labor. The scar that is all I have left of my daughter. Chapter 12. Tatiana. There's no point trying to hide it. He's seen my biggest secret now in all its faded silver glory. But instead of a Renzo-style interrogation, he rises to his feet, his dark gaze burning with something dangerously close to compassion. Reaching around to switch off the shower, he takes my face between his hands and kisses me again, more gently this time. His tongue doesn't delve inside my mouth like it did before. Instead, it hovers at the seams, as if the discovery of my scar is cooling his desire and forcing his base nature into retreat. I open my mouth to encourage him, but he doesn't take advantage. I lean my body into him, but he doesn't press back. Suddenly, the silence in the shower cubicle is more deafening than the chaos of the last 20 minutes, knocking me off balance even more. "Turn around," he orders, breaking away, and for once I do as he asks, gasping when I feel his fingers at the zipper of my dress, and then again when he's pushing the wet silk from my shoulders. He drops his mouth to the naked dip between my shoulder blades, and I bite my lower lip to stifle a moan. A moment later, his touch is being replaced by a fluffy white hotel towel that he proceeds to wrap around me. Scooping me up into his arms again, he carries me through the room to his bed and places me on top of the covers. "Sleep," he commands, stepping back to peel his wet shirt from his shoulders and take another one from an open suitcase nearby. "I'll be back as soon as I can. First, I need to see a man about a dead Russian." I open my mouth to protest, but my eyes are heavy with the weight of everything that's happened this evening. Without his touch, my body is hurting again from all the bruises Konstantin's Patsan gave me. My last image of him as I slip into the darkness is of a golden chest more sculptured than Michelangelo's David, but crisscrossed with his own fading silver scars. The stories behind them, no doubt, as ugly as mine. I wake the next day to a confident knock on his hotel room door and aching bones. Sometime in the night, he must have tucked me into bed because I'm lying underneath a mountain of sheets and duvets and wearing a black t-shirt that smells strongly of him. The knock sounds again, and Renzo emerges from the bathroom, still shirtless but wearing a dry pair of jeans and the remnants of white shaving cream covering half his jaw. Flicking me a look to keep quiet, he grabs his gun from the nightstand and stands to one side of the doorframe, his finger held tight on the trigger. "Who is it?" he rumbles. "Who do you think, fuckface?" comes a British accent, slanted with a Cockney swagger. Renzo tuts in annoyance. "Killian." He swings the door open to reveal a tall man with scruffy red hair and an easy grin. "Bought you a couple of croissants," he says, chucking a bag at him. "The food in this hotel is surprisingly shit." "Thanks," he says, lowering his gun. I watch him take in Renzo's appearance, a sly smirk creeping across his face as he chews on his gum thoughtfully. "Since when the hell do you shave?" "I have an auction to attend later. Figured I'd look the part." "If you say so." Angling his head, Killian looks beyond him to where I'm sitting up in bed, clutching the bedsheets to my chest. I watch his brows lift in amusement. "Should have brought a spare croissant. Didn't realize you had company." "Eyes on me, Davies," I hear Renzo snap, moving closer to the door to block out the view. "Unless you want me to carve them out for you." "I'm sure you didn't used to be such a miserable bugger." "Did you want something, or are you here to piss all over my morning mood?" "Keys." Shaking his head, Killian thrusts something into Renzo's spare hand. "The new motor you requested. It's downstairs with the valet already. Oh, and the boss gave me a message to give to you. Said, if you trashed another of his motors, he'll be trashing you." To my shock, Renzo starts laughing at this. That rare, delicious sound that makes my toes curl involuntarily. "Tell Frankie I look forward to it. Have the cleanup crew finished?" "All done." "Bye, Killian." He shuts the door on the Englishman as he's opening his mouth to say something else. That was rude. He stops and stares at me for a moment before tossing the keys and his gun on the desk and handing me a croissant. "People exist to serve a purpose, Dolcezza," he says, heading back into the bathroom. "My courtesy rarely extends beyond me giving a fucking order and them following it. If people piss me off, they face the alternative." "Which is?" Climbing out of bed with a wince, I take a bite and follow him into the bathroom, leaning my hip against the twin sink as he picks up his razor again to finish shaving. He pauses with the blade pressed against his throat to shoot me a look. "What happened to your Russian friend last night was a prime example." "He wasn't my friend." "Mine either, which is good. I've caused enough funerals of people I give a shit about recently." He means his brother. "So that's it?" I say, taking another bite of the croissant. "The code that cracks the great Renzo Marchesi? You simply dispose of people who no longer serve your interests? Or those who point a gun at you? How singular in your outlook." Acid drips from my tone as I chuck the rest of the croissant in the bin. I suggest you expand your horizons. Some people might still surprise you. Some of us have hidden depths worth exploring. Am I talking about myself here? He starts to shave in long, precise strokes, but I can tell he's struggling to keep a straight face.
People rarely surprise me, Tatiana.
I bet I can. Right now, I challenge.
Prove it.
Hand me your razor. I can do a much better job than you are.
Not a chance. How are you feeling today?
I'm okay. Don't you trust me?
We've been through this before. I don't trust anyone, and neither do you.
It sounds like he's returning the challenge. Turns out playing 2 truths, 1 lie with you is a joyless experience, Renzo. How about a quid pro quo instead? His smirk finally breaks through the rain clouds. There's another slow stroke as he makes me wait for his answer.
Okay, I'm listening.
If you let me finish shaving you, I pause to force a swallow down, I'll tell you my daughter's name. I watch him drop the razor into a sink full of water and wash the shaving cream off. All the while, my heart is thumping so loudly there's not a chance in hell he can't hear it. Without a word, he turns and hands me the clean instrument, leaning back against the vanity unit with a frown.
If you nick the skin, I'll be pissed.
You cut me open last night, Renzo, and now I can't seem to staunch the bleeding. This morning, I awoke, like I always do, with a crystal-clear image of my daughter's tear-stained face, pressed up against the glass of Constantine's house as I was being driven away from her. She doesn't know I'm her mother. I've never been allowed to tell, but somehow, during that last visit, it felt like she already knew. I could see it in her eyes. I could feel it in her embrace. Bloodlines are like magnets that can't help being drawn together, no matter how strongly they're kept apart. When I betray Renzo later by purchasing the atonement for Constantine instead of for him, when I prove his theory about people is correct, a part of me wants him to understand that it wasn't an easy choice for me, that the link back to my daughter was always going to supersede whatever undefined madness there is between us. That there was always a magnetic force in existence I couldn't deny. Head back, I instruct.
Tell me about the tattoo first.
That wasn't part of the deal.
I don't play by the rules, Dolcezza.
I pause. I made a mistake in my past, and that's where I'd like it to stay. Accepting my answer for now, he finally obliges, his fingers tightening around the edge of the vanity unit as I move to stand in front of him. Pressing the blade to the base of his throat, I forge my own clean line up through the remaining shaving foam, following the contours of his strong, stubborn jawline, until there's nothing left but a strip of smooth, golden skin. Washing the razor clean, I repeat the process, leaning in closer as I do, feeling the hardness of his erection against my stomach, forcing myself to concentrate as the beat between my thighs explodes into a symphony. On the 4th run, I sense his patience running out. Shifting my weight, I prepare to shave my 5th and final stripe. Anastasia, I whisper, feeling a gnawing ache inside me as I say her name. I gave birth to her when I was 18 years old. His dark eyes are burning me up again.
Where is she now?
Moscow, with her father.
Why not with you?
Gritting my teeth, I finish up and offer him the clean razor. The man you killed last night was my key to seeing her again. So perhaps that dogmatic outlook of yours isn't so great for those around you.
Tell me why.
I shake my head. No more. I've upheld my side of the bargain, Renzo. I've finished shaving you, and the bathroom doesn't look like an abattoir.
Did you shave him too?
There's a hard snap to his tone. Who? I say, but I know exactly who he means.
The father of your daughter.
It's nearly 8 a.m. and I have to get ready. Weatherbees are expecting us at 9, and London traffic is just as bad as New York's is. He grabs my wrist as I turn to leave.
Does your family know about her?
I stare at the white-tiled floor for a beat before shaking my head. No one does. He lets go of me, the atmosphere leaden and oppressive. There are too many unanswered questions, too much he wants to know.
I had your suitcases brought into my room. You'll find them in the closet.
Thank you, I say softly.
Oh, and Tatiana.
He reaches out to cup my cheek, but there's a fierce possessiveness in his touch that makes it more of a claim than a concern.
Don't think I'm done with you after last night,
he says roughly.
Once this auction is over and I get what I came for, we'll be picking up right where we left off.
Chapter 13. Tatiana. Like most of the places in London, Weatherby's auction house comes with a history and a warning. Built in the heart of Mayfair, the Georgian building with its white stone frontage has a bright red canopy that looks like a slash of blood in the snow. As our car pulls up to the front steps, it feels like a premonition for how this day is going to end. I know Constantine. He likes to toy with his victims before making the kill. Despite what I said to Renzo, I know that the car chase yesterday was implemented on his orders. The same way I know that the Patsan, who was sent to beat loyalty into me, was sent to hurt Renzo too. Constantine wants to scare me and punish me, but the next time he comes for Renzo, it's going to be fatal. The guilt of knowing what I do cuts deeper than it should. Many times on the journey from Soho to Mayfair, I've opened my mouth to warn him. But each time, I see Anastasia's face pressed up against the window again. What's worse, Constantine has stopped answering his phone. My only chance of seeing Anastasia now is to acquire the atonement and then return to New York as a cowering submissive with a dead body in the cargo hold of the man who's making me feel something for the first time in years. Holding the door open for me, our shoulders brush as I exit the car. That single touch affecting my lungs more than the bitter chill in the air.
You look good,
he says, appraising my designer black silk jumpsuit, the one that's clinging to my body as the winter wind whips up and down the street. Chanel, I mutter, pulling my coordinating cashmere coat tighter around my shoulders.
Sounds like a drink. I could use a double.
I turn to scowl at him, and he gives me the faintest trace of a smirk. He looks good, too. More than good, actually. In a similar three-piece black brioni to the one he wore in New York, with a black dress shirt and a crimson tie. He's wearing his dark heritage front and center today, an underground king being forced to the surface. I pause, caught up in a whirlpool of a moment, feeling the need to kiss him again, to take more strength from him, to be back in that shower cubicle with his face between my legs, moaning out his name as he deadens me to all life's hurts and disappointments. He's not so much an electric storm on my horizon anymore as the rider of both our tempests. Just then, the wind changes direction, blowing my hair straight into my face and chasing the moment away. When I manage to get my dark strands under control, he's already on the curb, hands in his pockets, waiting impatiently.
You ready?
No. Yes. He narrows his eyes as I approach.
What's wrong?
We're both wearing black, I observe. Anyone would think it's an omen.
Story of my fucking life.
My contact, Ivan Volkov, is waiting for us in the reception area. I've known him for 10 years. He worked for my mother in New York before he and his husband moved to London. He's used to me pulling in favors, but I get the impression he's doing it more for my mother than for me. Not that I blame him. Everyone loves her. She's smart, kind, and funny, with a core of steel that keeps the worst of my father in check. Sometimes I miss her so much that a death by 1,000 cuts would be a pleasure and a mercy.
Good morning, Tatiana, Mr. Marchesi.
Stepping forward with his hand outstretched, Ivan takes mine first and then offers it to the tall, brooding figure behind me. I watch his face pale at Renzo's firm grip.
We've, prepared the viewing you requested.
He withdraws his hand quickly.
It's in a private space adjacent to the main auction room. If you'd both like to follow me.
Thank you for organizing this, Ivan, I say, slipping into perfect Russian. I know it was very short notice.
No problem at all,
he answers with a smile.
Here is another copy of the condition report on the atonement, should you require it.
He hands me a neat white folder embossed with the red Weatherby's logo.
It's authentic, I can tell you that much. We have excellent in-house experts here, and I oversaw the process myself. Our reputation depends on the validity of every piece that passes through these doors. It gives our elite buyers the confidence that they're spending their money on a Van Gogh and not a knockoff.
He side-eyes me with a slight frown.
I have to say, Tatiana, I was a little surprised by your request.
You know I never buy an exclusive piece without inspecting it myself.
I suppose abstract expressionism is your area of expertise.
He muses, pausing by a set of double doors.
Here we are. Give me a moment to satisfy the security requirements, and then we can talk more inside.
Stepping back to allow him access to an intimidating line of key code devices, I collide with the brick wall that's standing behind me.
Hidden talents, Dolcezza.
I hear him murmur, feeling his hand on my hip, his fingers clenching.
I knew you spoke Russian, but I didn't know you were fluent.
Did you even read your portfolio on me, or was it just coffee table decoration?
I know all about your grandfather, if that's what you're referring to,
he says in a low growl.
Andrei Petrov headed up the most feared bratva in Moscow, while masquerading as a billionaire shipping magnate and a good friend of the Colombian cartel kingpin, Dante Santiago. That's until your crazy uncle put a bullet in his head.
Then you'll know it happened long before I was born, I hiss back. I never knew him, and neither did my mother. She's lived in America all her life, and so have I.
Even so, your ties to Russia grow stronger by the day.
I stare at the closed door, ignoring the threat. The only thing I inherited from my grandfather was a love of art, Renzo. My mother, too.
And, in time, your daughter, no doubt.
I pause. Now that you know about her, are you going to use her as a weapon against me? A beat later, I'm being spun around with force.
That's not how I fucking operate.
He looks furious at the insinuation.
You entrusted me with your pain,
so why aren't you sharing yours with me? We glare at each other before there's a discreet cough behind us.
Excuse me, Tatiana. We're ready for you.
Wrenching my arm free, I force a smile for Ivan. Mr. Marchesi and I were just, discussing pre-20th century art in Russia. I lie, plucking a topic from thin air. As you might have gathered, our opinions differ. To my surprise, Ivan's face lights up.
Then you know that a huge number of artifacts were looted from the country by the Nazis during the Second World War.
Of course, I say, puzzled by his reaction. It's one of the most shocking art thefts in history.
Many valuable pieces are still missing from that period, as are many that were stolen across Europe.
He grimaces as if personally affronted by the tragedy.
As well as my work here at Weatherby's, I am part of a private organization that reunites these works with the rightful families. Your mother established the trust 5 years ago.
He trails off when he sees my face, realizing his mistake. Renzo's been unusually silent during our exchange, but his aura of danger is still hovering over me like a shadow. Opening the doors, Ivan moves aside to let us enter first. It's like stepping into a windowless white cube. Everything is the same color, from the ceiling to the walls and the floor. There's no other furniture apart from a large easel in the center displaying the Atonement, with 2 grim-faced security guys standing guard either side of it. Keeping a discreet distance, Ivan hovers by the far wall as I cross the room, reaching the painting in a couple of strides, lured in by the chaotic canvas, like a sailor drawn in by a siren. It's one of the most beautiful pieces I've seen in a while. A 6x4-foot masterpiece of thought and improvisation, with huge gestural strokes in tones of red and blue. This painting is a key, I think wildly, raking my gaze over it. To me, it has the propensity to unlock happiness. To Renzo, it's a chance to unlock the truth.
What are you looking for?
He moves up beside me as I tilt my head to study every aspect of the canvas. Inconsistencies? I assume your experts used black light? I say to Ivan.
Naturally. All the artist's original outlines were present under the paint. Nothing has been repaired or modified.
Most paintings have 5 layers, I explained to Renzo. UV, or black light, exposes a forgery's weaknesses, the ones not seen by the naked eye.
You're good,
he murmurs, sounding impressed. That's why you hired me. I mean, blackmailed me. I correct under my breath. Ivan hands me a small flashlight and then retreats to the far wall again. I move in even closer to inspect every inch of the painting for a second time. It's fierce and flawed, like the man standing next to me. I can feel myself tumbling into the violent, ocean-like brushstrokes, the same way I fell into his arms last night, the same way I fell into my father's painting on the wall of his office on my 18th birthday, when Constantine held my innocence for ransom and then took his fill of it anyway. The next half an hour is an oasis of calm before the gathering maelstrom as I carefully consult the condition report and conduct my own assessment, aware yet again of Renzo's gaze on me constantly. Tell me your observations about the varnish, Ivan.
Mildly streaked, as you would expect for artwork of this age.
If it was a forgery, it wouldn't do that, I tell him, knowing he doesn't really give a damn about my world unless he can manipulate it. But while he's here, I may as well teach him something. Look at the signature. I point to an elaborate squiggle of black paint in the bottom left-hand corner. We always check to see if it matches up with the artist's size and technique.
Anything unusual?
No, it's perfect. Worth every cent of $5 million. Tell me, I add, lowering my voice to a whisper, are you sure this painting's connected with your brother's murder?
Would you like my dick measurements too?
He growls, echoing the bra-size quip I tossed him yesterday. I watch him glance over at Ivan, who's pretending to stare at his polished brown Oxfords, and his expression tightens.
Not here.
Renzo,
just tell me whether it's fake or not.
99% it's not, but let me check. Turning back to the painting, I stop abruptly when I spot a minuscule blemish on the modest black frame. It can't be. Is this the original mount? I blurt out, startling Ivan. He nods.
We've had it authenticated too. Made in New York, 1952.
My heart starts to pound. To anyone else, it's a tiny blemish in the wood, so slight and so subtle, barely a millimeter in length and completely vertical. To me, it's the same rebellious middle finger moniker he uses in all his forgeries. He swore to me that he was done with this. He promised me. No one in the world has his talent, his attention to detail, his methods to navigate every single authentication process like it's child's play. No one else has his complete and utter fuck you attitude to the law, except for maybe our father. I am going to kill him. I'm already pulling out my phone for a verbal assassination as I'm striding towards the door. Thank you, Ivan, I say, forcing another smile as I pass him. As I do, I notice the slightest flicker in one eyelid. It's a nervous gesture. He knows. He fucking knows. Is my whole family in on this? Keeping my composure in check, I slide my arm into Renzo's as we reach the hallway. He stiffens at my gesture, but he doesn't react. This man is a pro at reading when the shit hits the fan. He knew something was up a split second after I did.
"We have an hour until the auction," he says coolly. "We're going to find ourselves a drink."
Marching me out of Weatherby's, he hangs a sharp left, pulling me into the first narrow side street we come to. Backing me up against the side of a restaurant, he pins me to the brickwork with a palm to the base of my throat.
"Talk."
"It's a fake," I blurt out.
"How do you know?"
His eyes are jet black and gleaming. I've never seen him this angry before. "I recognized a mark on the frame. The forger wanted me to recognize it too. He used to call it his middle finger at the establishment."
"Who did?"
I hesitate.
"Don't test my patience, Tatiana," he snarls. "I am not in the best of moods."
"My twin brother, Seb," I whisper. He loosens his hold on me immediately.
"What the fuck? How can you tell?"
"Because I know him, and I know his work." I shiver as the maelstrom I felt gathering in the auction house finally hits. It started as a joke between us when we were 16, but his talent... I shake my head in quiet awe. By 18, he was the best forger in the world, but I begged him to stop before I left home. I was afraid he'd get caught.
"You're telling me that some rich kid in Manhattan has the goods to con millions of bucks out of other rich assholes with copycat canvases?"
He runs his hand across his jaw in disgust.
"And you call me the fucking criminal?"
"You're just annoyed that you and your brother didn't think of it first."
"Don't ever mention my brother again."
He backs me up against the wall once more. "The copy is too accurate, Renzo," I say, pushing him away. "The artistry, the arc of the brushstrokes. Seb must have lifted it straight from the original."
"Then get him on the phone right now. Ask him how he got his hands on it. You have exactly 10 minutes before I send a group of soldati to Manhattan to rip his throat out."
"But I..."
"Don't," he thunders. "I know you still speak to him, albeit reluctantly on your part. Turns out I read your fucking portfolio after all."
I hesitate again.
"Has the Russian in there figured it out too?"
"Ivan?" I shake my head. I need to keep him out of this for as long as I can. In Renzo's present mood, he'd end up with a bullet in his skull before the auction even started. I'll deal with him when I speak to Seb. Leaning back against the wall, I try to center my spinning thoughts. Renzo and I have reached another impasse. He told me yesterday that only a fool trusts, but he needs to give me something if we're going to figure this out together. I glance at him and freeze. His loaded expression tells me our frustration is mutual, and it's about to break down into something neither of us seems to be able to control.
"God damn it, Dolcezza."
A beat later, he's coming for me, letting his mouth do a different kind of talking. His kiss is a hot mess of anger and irritation, demanding and unforgiving, but I open up and let him in anyway, because it's mirroring my own emotions.
"This day is too fucking unpredictable already."
He spins me around, roughly palming my pussy through my black silk jumpsuit.
"And you're turning into a distraction I don't need."
"Then make me a distraction that you do." Tipping my head back against his chest, he starts to circle my clit. At the same time, I slam my hands against the brick wall in front of me to brace myself. I can already tell my orgasm will be violent and intense. He doesn't know how to give any other kind.
"You want this, Tatiana?"
he says huskily, plastering his body against me, never letting up his ruthless touch for a moment.
"You want me to make you come so fucking hard your juices stain your clothes, so everyone in that auction house sees what a pretty little whore you are for me?"
"Yes," I gasp out, not caring who sees us, his dirty words unleashing all my inhibitions.
Wise girl for not wearing a dress. I'd fuck you now if I could.
With his other hand, he curls his fingers around my hair and yanks it backward, locking my head against his shoulder, making my eyes sting with the pain.
I'd fill you up with as much as you can take until your smart mouth forgets her own name.
I can take it all. His fingers increase in pressure and speed.
I'll split you in half. I'm 9 inches, Tatiana, and I like to play rough.
Then put me back together afterwards. He groans as I push back on his erection.
Don't count on it.
Curling my hands into fists, I slide closer and closer to heaven. There's nothing but the feel of him, the heat of him, and then he's yanking my head back even tighter until I can't move a muscle.
Come,
he orders.
Fucking come on my command.
Moments later, I'm flying apart, my whole body shuddering with relief, my head finally falling forward as he releases his hold on my hair. Sliding his arm around my waist, he keeps me pinned against him until my frantic breathing slows.
Nero,
he murmurs, biting down on my shoulder as the haze starts to clear.
My brother's name was Nero.
I try not to move a muscle.
The atonement ended up in our hands last year. We needed to shift it fast, so my intermediary set up a meeting between Nero and a secret buyer. Next thing I know, the painting's vanished. There's no money or intermediary. My brother's lying dead in a hotel room, and there's a stone-cold trail as to what went down.
There's a note of bitterness in his voice, and a tome's worth of regret as he spins me back around and takes my jaw between his fingers.
This auction has been my first lead in 3 months, Tatiana,
he says, brushing his thumb over my flushed cheek.
And now I discovered that might be bullshit too.
Not necessarily. His eyes narrow.
I'm listening.
Seb came to see me a couple of days ago. I think he was trying to tell me what he'd done, but I threw him out before he confessed. If I'm right, the real painting might still be in his possession. I watch his face cloud over with things that belong in closets in the dead of night. My brother isn't a murderer, Renzo, I whisper, placing my hands over his. I swear, he had nothing to do with your brother's death. My family is several shades past squeaky clean, but promise me you'll speak to him first before your trigger finger starts pointing.
Call him,
he repeats, breaking away and reaching into his pocket for his phone.
Right now.
That's not reassurance, Renzo. That's a different kind of blackmail. Glaring at him, I take the device and dial a number I know by heart, but it goes straight to voicemail. I hand it back to him to listen as proof. What should I do?
Leave a message. Set up a meeting for late this evening. We're flying back to New York the second this auction is over.
I'm so shocked I hang up by accident. You still want to buy the painting? Even when you know it's a fake? There's a pause.
This was never about ownership, Tatiana. This was about getting a front row seat for the auction.
The blood starts rushing in my ears. When the truth starts to drop, it bruises like rubber bullets. You were never going to buy the atonement, were you? You lied too. He shakes his head, his gaze never wavering.
I want the Russian bastard who's overeager to get his hands on it, not the painting itself. I have intel that he'll be there today in some capacity, whether in person or through an intermediary. Either way, it's a fucking trail to follow.
Why didn't you tell me? I whisper.
You didn't need to know. And this doesn't let your brother off the hook. He's still connected with this, and I want his life story autographed in blood.
That's not... Wait. What Russian bastard? I say, finally registering the words, my stomach lurching.
The one who keeps coming at us with his knives and his guns and his shitty blue sedan. It tells me he values his identity more than he does our lives. He checks his watch, but we have an advantage. He doesn't know it's a fake.
The fragile connection between us splits and multiplies. Constantine. Is he talking about Constantine? Is he the man who murdered Renzo's brother?
Chapter 14. Renzo. Most family trees grow straight and true. Then there's Tatiana and me. Two people whose roots coil into so many knots, removing them would level entire cities. Since the moment I barged into her life, we've tried to strip the bark from each other's branches. We've plucked leaves just to drive the stems under the other's skin, never realizing that our trees are more tangled than we ever imagined. Until now. Unbuttoning my suit jacket, I take a seat beside her, scanning the faces of the bidders as they file through the double doors. The auction room is similar to the one in New York. A large white space filled with rows of expensive gold chairs, the kind you can't buy at Walmart, even with a fistful of coupons. Rich Brits outnumber rich Americans, meaning that most of this crowd have their noses up in the air and sticks up their asses. Next to me, Tatiana is wound tight like a coiled spring. She's pissed that I made her sit at the back instead of in her usual place in front of the auctioneer. But there's something else as well. Something beneath the fading scent of sex and desire. Something that reminds me of pennies and molasses.
Tell me again why we're nowhere near the triangle of influence, she hisses. People are looking at me strangely. They know my tactics. From this vantage point, it would take a telescope for the auctioneer to see me.
We're not here to admire the artwork. We're here to observe.
And if this Russian sends an agent?
Whoever buys that fucking thing is going to be marked, followed, and then taken apart slowly until I get the answers I want.
You mean tortured?
That's a polite way of putting it. There's a pause.
Are you analyzing everyone who walks into the room?
Every face, every gesture, every breath. Then to remind her what's at stake, I add, for your brother's sake, you'd better hope this Russian and his crew are as uncultured as I am. Another uncomfortable stretch of silence passes between us. Then another. Then another. Tatiana keeps shifting in her seat, her long, slender fingers brushing over her thigh, repeatedly smoothing out invisible wrinkles on her jumpsuit, looking about as far from being an ice empress as I do. I try to focus my attention on the doorway, but I find my gaze wandering back to her constantly. 12 hours ago, I would have inhaled her anxiety like oxygen, letting it fuel the darkest places of my sinner soul. 12 hours ago, Tatiana Sanders was nothing more than a Bratva-branded pathway to vengeance. How things change. She's more than an ambitious woman with a tantalizing body now. She's a victim, with deeper scars than the ones marking her flawless skin. She has a daughter. I never saw that one coming. Just like Nero has been my driving force for the past few months, Anastasia has been at the forefront of her every decision. She's been her motivation, her reason for breathing. The agony of their separation cuts grooves into every move she makes. I don't know what forced them apart, but I intend to find out. My attention shifts toward a balding man in a navy blue Seville Row suit. I watch him nod in recognition at a stone-faced woman sitting a couple rows in front of us before taking the empty seat beside her. Without taking my eyes off him, I place my hand over Tatiana's to still her fidgeting. Careful. A tell is a dangerous weapon. Her fingers curl beneath my palm, as if to push me away, and then she's dragging her hand out from under mine and crossing her legs away from me. Now she has my full attention. "Regret is a useless emotion," I murmur.
What's that supposed to mean?
"Less than an hour ago, you had a very different reaction to my touch." Grabbing her hand again, I turn it over and press the pad of my thumb to the black ink staining her wrist. "You begged for it, Dolcezza. Protesting now is a waste of energy. We both know you want more." Those proud lips press in a thin line. "Tell me, did you cross your legs just now to hide your uneasiness, or to hide the fact you're still wet for me?"
Renzo?
As if drawn by an invisible tether, she leans in closer, her long, dark lashes fluttering a few times before a crackle from the podium has her spine snapping straight as an arrow.
It's starting,
she whispers. "How many lots until ours?"
Not many.
As the auctioneer begins to speak, everything, including Tatiana's presence, fades to black. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for, ever since I walked into a hotel room in Atlantic City and found my brother lying in a pool of his own blood. Nero's killer is close. I can feel it. "Up first, we have an exquisite..." The rest of the auctioneer's overinflated description becomes a stream of white noise as heads turn to watch some hideous portrait I couldn't give two fucks about being carried to the stage. There's an opening bid, then a counter, then another. I study the men's steady chin dips and slight paddle lifts, the polite warring. It's like watching a tennis ball being tossed back and forth over the net instead of driven by a hard backhand, the only kind I know how to serve. 5 lots down already. My patience starts to slip, along with my composure. With each bid, my fists clench, and my blood pressure kicks up higher. Go faster. I cast my eye around the room again, seeing nothing but an ocean of easy money and steady bullshit. Where are you, you asshole? Dragging my hand across my face, the feel of clean-shaven skin is a stark reminder of just how out of my current element I am, of how that question mark etched on Nero's grave continues to burn brighter and brighter. I feel Tatiana stiffen beside me as a revered hush settles over the room. Glancing between my spread fingers, I watch as the auctioneer nods to his left. "Up next is our final lot of the day, the Atonement, a stunning example of New York abstract expressionism from the 20th century, circa 1952. A delightful burst of multi-tonal two-color spontaneity." The room becomes a vortex of activity. My gaze snaps to where 2 men in white gloves are carrying the huge painting. "Reserve bid of $5 million. The auctioneer catches the eye of a figure at the front. "Can I hear 5-1? There's a faint nod a few rows in front of us from the man in the Seville rose suit. I stare at his profile, dissecting his features.
It's not him,
Tatiana whispers, my focus jarred by the scent of sweet perfume and pussy as she leans in again, her shoulder brushing mine.
Only a novice bids first.
Tilting her chin, she arches an eyebrow at me. She's referring to the New York auction, when I opened the bid for the portrait, the one I bought just to fuck with her. I remember watching both shock and loathing bloom across her face as she glared back at me. I remember my cock aching because of it. Later that night, she'd called me a classless savage. If only she'd known how prophetic those words actually were. She does now.
He'll tap out quickly,
she continues, drawing my attention back to those hypnotic jade eyes.
A man with the knowledge to bid on stolen art would have a much better game plan.
Years of instinct tells me to question her motives, but this is why I forced her to help me. Besides, it's in her best interest to point the finger now, not deflect it. As we're whispering, a bidding war has erupted between the man and some old lady who looks like an extra from Downton fucking Abbey. I tune out the back and forth as Vasily's tip spins through my head. Where's the Russian? Where's the black market buyer he insisted was coming to London specifically for the atonement? If he's lied to me again, I'll cut his dick off and make him choke on it. The older lady keeps her paddle in her lap for the next round, the disappointment on her face letting me know the score. When I glance back at Tatiana, I can see she's shaking. What the fuck is up with her? The auctioneer scans the crowd. Do I hear 7 million? There's a beat of undiluted silence before her pale hand slides off her thigh, wraps around the paddle on her lap, and lifts it high, breaking all her own auction etiquette rules in the process.
7 million,
she confirms, her voice breathless and hesitant, but clear as fucking day. Gasps ripple through the crowd. What the hell are you doing? I snarl, yanking her arm down, but it's too late. Tatiana dips her chin, refusing to look at me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry? That's all she has to say after screwing up my plans? The auctioneer snaps to attention. Do I hear 7-1? There's no more movement in the room, except from my fist that's inching towards the gun in my holster. 7 million going once, going twice. You said it was a fake. My fingers close around familiar cold steel. This auction house is about to become a fucking slaughterhouse unless she explains herself.
It is, but I need you to trust me, Renzo. I know you refuse to trust anybody, but I'm begging you to, for my daughter's sake.
Sold! The auctioneer's gavel comes crashing down like a guillotine. The auction is over, and so is this charade. Grabbing her arm, I haul her to her feet. Whatever game she's playing just took a very dangerous turn. There are 1,000 emotions surging through me right now, and not one of them is benevolence.
Wait,
she pleads, digging her heels into the marble floor as I drag her toward the end of the row. Not a chance. I'm getting us out of here before I make my classless savage behavior in New York look like a goddamn English tea party. She pulls back, her fingers grabbing onto a chair for purchase.
Renzo, I can't leave. I have to sign the paperwork first.
Sign it later.
I can't.
There's a thick layer of panic in her voice as she fights to free herself. People are starting to stare. The Brits have clearly never seen an American mobster lose all his fucks to give before.
You don't understand. The way these things...
The protest dies on her lips as her gaze settles over my shoulder. Her reaction has me spinning round, following her line of sight to the other side of the room. But it's the man in the slate gray suit staring at us who sends my black walls shooting up. His dirty blonde hair has been dyed brown since we last met. A matching beard hides the scars on his face, but there's no mistaking those fucking eyes. They're the same ones that looked into mine as he assured me he had a buyer willing to pay double Nero's asking price for the atonement. A private investor, he'd called him. A man of great wealth whose privacy required my brother to meet with him alone. As our gazes collide, a slow smile stretches across his face, and 3 truths swing like a wrecking ball to the chest. Vasily lied to me, again. Oleg is alive, and Tatiana is so deep in all this shit, she's sinking faster than all of us. Releasing her arm, I shoved my way through the waning crowds, my hand diving inside my suit jacket for my gun as my bloodlust temporarily overpowers my need for answers. Somewhere on the other side of the black walls, I hear her call my name, but the man she wants is no longer in control. Slicing a path through the high heels and suits is like trying to thread a needle with a shoestring. I'm losing ground already. Keeping my eyes peeled for glimpses of slate gray, I force my way to the lobby, the distance between us widening further as he exits the front entrance. Once my feet hit the sidewalk, he's 20 feet ahead of me in a full-out sprint. Leaving everything behind, I chase after him, pedestrians scattering like toppled bowling pins. "Get the fuck out of my way!" I yell. Once I've narrowed the gap to 10 feet, I stop and aim my gun at his shoulder, only to have another dark blue sedan cut across my view line and slam on its brakes. Before I can fire a clean shot, the rear driver's side door swings open and Oleg dives inside. The door doesn't even fully close before the driver floors it, blowing through an intersection and sending 2 cars careening into oncoming traffic.
Renzo!
Frantic footsteps come to a messy stop behind me. Not trusting myself to speak, I shove my gun back into its holster and resume my grip on Tatiana's arm. This time she doesn't resist as I lead her back to the parking deck, doubling her steps to keep up with mine until we reach my car as sirens fill the air. Circling us around to the passenger side, I fling the door open. She climbs in without protest, clutching her hands together as I slam it shut behind her. Only when I'm settled behind the wheel does she try to talk again.
"That man you ran after?"
"What about him?" I grit out. She hesitates. I hear her voice begging me to trust her right before the auctioneer's gavel fell. Hard pass, sweetheart, but I'm intrigued enough to see where you're going with it. "What the hell are you involved in, Tatiana?" She flinches, the fear in her eyes diluting some of my anger.
"Just tell me who that man is first."
"Oleg Belov." I drag a hand through my hair and grimace. His brother, Vasily, is the manager of Peshera, a Bratva-owned underground fight club in New York. He was the one who told me about the auction. About you. We hold each other's gaze. Vasily also told me the guy I just chased down the street in Mayfair was 6 feet under, so I guess he's a fucking liar as well as the walking dead.
"Belov? Are you sure?"
I glare at her. She stills. I go for the jugular. "You lied to me as well, Dolcezza. You know that name. I can see it in your face. So I'm going to ask you one more time, real nicely." She blows out a wary breath.
"You're right, I do. But I've never seen him before today, I swear. It was the way he looked at me. It was just so reminiscent."
She glances away, her fingers straying towards the silver locket she always wears around her neck. I don't need to open it to know what's inside. My mother hangs her love for her kids around her neck, too. Reminiscent of what? But I've guessed the answer already. Anastasia's father. She knows I know. Her confirmation is more a show than a tell. The atmosphere in the car switches and the temperature drops. I can sense her despair, her confusion, the horror entrenched so deep inside her it's become a living, breathing thing. "You're afraid of him," I state, knowing we're nearing the quicksand.
"I have every cause to be."
Her fingers close tightly around the locket.
"He took my daughter away from me when she was just 5 days old."
Jesus. Talk to me. Trust me, even when I'm not capable of it myself. As the seconds tick by, I start to wonder if this is one wall that can't be scaled. And then she finally closes her eyes in defeat.
"He owns me, Renzo. From the moment we met, from the first time he...
She falters, and my fists clench.
He told me it was out of revenge for what my family had done to his in the past, how we were all going to pay for my grandfather's sins.
She pins me with a haunted stare.
He made me leave school. He forced me to turn my back on my family. When I became pregnant, he insisted I have the baby in Moscow, and then he took her away from me.
She stops, twisting her lower lip between her teeth. I wait patiently, impatiently. This confession is 5 years in the making. It's a dying ember that needs encouraging, but there's not enough Hail Marys in the fucking world to save the man who did this to her. Give me his name, Tatiana. Just give me his name.
He said he'd harm her if I didn't do what he said, and then he sent me back to New York without her. I needed to pay him $1 million a year, otherwise we'd both end up dead.
Your father, Dolcezza, I grit out, struggling to comprehend the shitstorm she's had to deal with. He's one of the most dangerous men in the world.
Shame has its own set of prison bars.
She cuts me off sharply.
And Constantine made damn sure he built them out of steel. He made me do things.
She glances away again.
Look, I don't expect you to understand. There's never a logic when you're a kid yourself and desperate. I thought about telling Seb last year. I was so close to cracking. But Constantine is always one step ahead of me. He sent me a picture of Anastasia with both her legs in casts. He'd broken them himself to punish me.
She catches a sob in her hand. Constantine. I have a new kill target now, and he's vying for the top spot.
I think he's the Russian you're looking for, Renzo. I think we're more connected than you think.
The world stops spinning. The roots of our family trees are twisting together again. It's blood and bone. It's heartache and sacrifice. It's too fucking easy. Throwing random names out to save your brother's neck doesn't fly.
Who do you think told me to buy the painting?
She says, looking hurt. I pause. So, where is he?
I don't know,
she admits with a sigh.
He moves around constantly. He keeps Anastasia trapped in Russia, but he has businesses and houses everywhere.
Bratva? Another one of Vasili's lies.
Yes.
What makes you so sure it's him?
Because I know how much he wanted the painting. He had another agent lined up to make the purchase, but he replaced him with me just to piss you off. He knows who you are, Renzo.
And? I say, hearing the cliffhanger in her voice.
And his last name is Belov,
she finishes quietly.
Konstantin Belov.
Well, isn't this day full of fucking surprises? Before I know it, I'm climbing out of the car and driving my fist into the front hood again and again until my blood stains the paintwork. Fuck! I feel her pain like it's my own. Fuck! 3 brothers. There were 3 fucking brothers all along. Fuck! Reeling backwards, I flex my aching hand as I weigh that last revelation and find it measured in betrayal. They're not working as a family unit. They're all driving knives into each other's backs. Vasily lied about Oleg's whereabouts in New York, then led me right to him, because that's what black sheep of families do. He was the wind that set the sails of my brother's execution in motion. Oleg created the storm that raged across the Atlantic, bringing the painting to London. But there's no doubt in my mind that it was Constantine who orchestrated the entire voyage. But why? Swinging back into the car, I slam the door shut. All the while I can sense her watching me like a rabbit would a hungry lion. What else? I demand harshly.
Your hand.
Fuck my hand. Give me something more. Anything. After a beat, she reaches into her purse for her phone.
Constantine switches up his burners frequently. I can give you the last number he used, but I need you to promise me something first.
She hesitates again.
Listen, I know you don't owe me a thing, but you're the only person I can ask. The only person I trust to make it right.
There's that fucking word again.
Please, help me get Anastasia back, Renzo. I'll tell you everything I know. I'll hold nothing back. I'll do anything to hold my daughter again, to make her safe.
Something about her impassioned plea seeps into my skin, filtering through to a part of me I thought was dead and buried a long time ago. Tatiana. Leaning over, I palm the back of her neck, bringing our heads together, my decision a foregone conclusion already. When I get my hands on Konstantin Belov, you'll have your daughter back the next day. I fucking swear it. I watch the emotion flitting across her face at the prospect of her nightmare ending. It makes me want to destroy the fucking earth to make it happen. No more ice, I murmur. From now on, if you're honest with me, I'll be honest with you.
I turned myself into that woman to keep everyone out.
Her eyelids flutter shut.
To keep what's left of me hidden and protected. For so long, I wasn't allowed choice, power.
But you are now. My grip tightens. Do you want to taste them, Dolcezza? I can give you that right now. Confusion blankets her face, but I'm determined to address some of the wrongs she's suffered. Remember when you held a blade to my throat this morning?
Renzo.
My name catches in her throat as I move my hand to the slender curve of her neck, pausing to feel her pulse dance against my skin before sliding my thumb across the underside of her chin. Who held the power in that moment, Tatiana? You, for wielding the blade? Or me, for surrendering to it?
I could have killed you.
Not if I'd killed you first. There's a flash of caution in her eyes before it's swallowed up by intrigue. It's a rush to taunt death. The space between us disappears as I shift forward to press my palms against the window, caging her into the passenger seat and forcing her spine against the door. At any moment, you could have slit my throat, but even in your hand, I controlled every stroke of that razor. I watch her gaze fall from my eyes to my mouth. So I'm asking, do you want that same power now? Do you want to touch it? To fuck it?
Yes,
comes an almost lyrical response. Without breaking eye contact, I reach one hand inside my jacket and pull my gun from its holster. Curling my finger around the trigger, I trace the cold steel of the muzzle around the contours of her mouth. Then wrap your lips around my gun and suck. She blinks, her sleepy gaze snapping back to mine in shock. All I have is an offer, I murmur. It rests in your hands to accept, reject, or counter. It's your choice. Control the fear, or let it control you.
Renzo.
Show me what's behind the ice, Empress. After a beat, she parts her lips and swirls her pink tongue tentatively around the muzzle. With that small concession, my dick swells, pulsing with need, as she grows bolder, wrapping her delicate mouth around my fucking gun and sliding it up and down the barrel, leaving the metal wet and glistening. The more I watch, the deeper she takes it. That's right, Dolcezza. Harder. I'm sucking in air through my teeth as her tortured moan hits me straight in the balls. Christ! Tearing at my belt and zipper, I take a vicious hold of my cock, pumping from root to tip as even more of my gun slides in. I imagine it sliding into her pussy, filling her up, stretching her in all the right places in preparation for her taking every inch of me. Soon I've choreographed a furious tempo, fucking my hand as my gun fucks her mouth. I can feel it building already. The pressure, the intensity, the power. I tip my head back and grit my teeth, feeling that familiar rush at the base of my spine. But right before the pleasure hits, she pushes the gun away and drops her head to my lap. My fist releases as she takes me into her mouth, my fingers twisting around her hair. Hot, wet, mine. The moment I hit the back of her throat, I explode, snarling out her name as my hot cum covers her tongue. Holy fuck. Afterward, she settles back in her seat, appraising me with those watchful, wary eyes again. You didn't have to do that, I say roughly.
I didn't have to do any of it.
She offers me a shy smile that I can't stop staring at.
Wasn't that the point?
Returning my gun to its holster, I thread my fingers through her hair again and slam my mouth against hers, tasting myself, tasting her, tasting violence, tasting whatever the fuck it is we make together. The kiss isn't gentle, but she opens for me instantly, accepting its brutality and demanding more, always more. Because that's what happens when fire and ice collide. Chapter 15. Renzo. Tatiana and I ride back to the hotel in silence. Now that we've expelled some of this near-constant sexual tension between us, my head is finally clear enough to think 4 steps ahead instead of spinning around in circles. Besides, words are a confusion that neither of us need right now. We're 2 people who have lived most of our adult lives in solitude. It's going to take us a while to process this sudden shift in our dynamic. 4 days ago, I showed up on her doorstep with the sole purpose of using her. Now, I'll kill any man who endeavors to do the same. Especially Konstantin Belov. We're less than 50 feet away from the hotel when my phone vibrates with an incoming text message. I slide it out of my pocket and hold it low. 36 hours. I clench my jaw so hard the muscles in my neck strain. The update from my father is unnecessary. I know how much time is left on the clock, and it's not on my side. I have every intention of claiming my rightful position as underboss, but I refuse to leave London without cutting off the head of at least one Russian snake. Ignoring the warning, I darken the screen and tuck my phone back in my pocket. I'll deal with him later. Keeping my focus on the present, I pull the car into a space in front of the hotel. When she realizes I'm not unclipping my seatbelt, Tatiana stiffens.
You're not coming?
The concern in her voice gnaws at something inside. I've never needed anyone before. I've never been needed before. I still can't decide if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I have a few business matters that need my attention before we...
Where are you going?
She demands, cutting me off. To see how deeply twisted this Russian fraternal rivalry runs. I grip the steering wheel, treading in unfamiliar waters when I answer with dry candor. Ghost hunting. The Renzo from 2 days ago wouldn't have offered that level of truth. He would have held his cards close and suspicions high. But I know the secrets she's trusted me with have left her raw and exposed. To keep her in the dark now would make me nothing more than another scar. She sucks in a sharp breath.
You're chasing Oleg Belov.
I nod. the image of his shitty gray suit and smirk flashing through my mind. He's the one who can lead us to Constantine. An associate was already looking into local connections with Oleg and Vasily.
An associate,
she repeats slowly, holding my stare.
You mean the red-haired man who came to the hotel earlier? The one you called to clean?
Her voice catches at the mention of last night's attack, a stark reminder of what's at stake. His name is Killian Davies. He works for Frankie Lastra, who owns this city. He's a longtime ally of the Marchesi family.
Do you trust him?
I don't trust anyone, Dolcezza. You know that. She smiles slightly.
I'm starting to see there are levels within levels of that statement, Renzo. No one gets by in life without putting their faith in someone.
You did.
I changed.
She holds my gaze again.
I took a step into the unknown.
I consider her words, letting them sink in as deep as her plea did earlier. I trust that Killian's loyalty to my family benefits him more than betrayal. It's not the answer she wanted. I could tell by the vertical line sinking between her eyes. The one I warned gave away all her secrets. Didn't you pay attention when I taught you the first rule of survival, Dolcezza? Bullets always come from the friendliest face.
You told me to trust no one,
she recalls, with an even deeper frown.
Especially you.
Addendum, I say, cupping her cheek. Trust only me. And you don't leave that fucking hotel suite for a second. You hear me?
So there are levels?
Sliding my thumb under the delicate curve of her jaw, I tip her chin up to meet my gaze. Believe me when I say I'm not your savior, Tatiana. But I swear on my brother's grave, I'll be the sinner who crawls his way back from hell to find your daughter.
I believe you,
she whispers, the weight of her words swinging a sledgehammer at the center of my chest. No one has ever put such blind trust in me, and I won't let her down. There's a third variable in this Russian equation now. I need to piece together a new timeline, one that explains why three brothers would join forces only to turn on each other. And then I'll make them all bleed, starting with Oleg Belov. I won't be long, I tell her, forcing myself to drop my hand. The scent of what we did still lingers inside the car, and I need another hit of it. But I have to deny myself. I know damn well it won't stop there. Make sure you're packed and ready to go in 2 hours. The jet is waiting on standby. She lingers with her hand on the door, as reluctant to leave as I am of letting her go, before giving me a tight nod and exiting the car. As her high heels hit the asphalt, I call out to her through the open window. And Dolcezza! She cocks her chin over her shoulder. Give your twin a courtesy call. The minute we land, we're crossing the Hudson. This ends tomorrow, for both of us. Te lo prometto. I promise you. They're the same 3 words I whispered over Nero's casket. I'll honor them with my dying breath. Killian's Balam flat is as contradictory as he is. For a man who trades in bullets and blood, his home is an interior decorator's wet dream, complete with bright showroom decor and flashy floor-to-ceiling windows. It's the complete antithesis of my style, but then again, I've always preferred my accommodations to match my mood. Dark, closed off, and unstable. Killian hands me a glass of Macallan and a sandwich, digesting my recount of the morning's events before settling in a yellow wingback directly across from me.
Ah, what a tangled web we weave,
he muses. I'm not interested in dramatic aphorisms, I counter dryly. I want Oleg Belov's location along with an explanation for your silence. I asked for this information fucking hours ago. Holding his gaze, I arch an eyebrow across the coffee table. After all the blood we've spilled across this city, You should know I don't ask for shit twice. Chuckling, he spreads his arms out wide. Yet here you are. Pompous bastard. When I slam my drink onto the glass table, he leans forward, exhaling roughly while bracing his forearms on his thighs, his drink still cradled in his hands. I warned you not to get involved in Bradford dealings, mate. It's a little too late for warnings, mate, I hit back. I became involved the moment one shot my brother, while two more called the play from the sidelines. Now either you're with me or you're against me. To emphasize how fucking serious I am, I flick the edge of my suit jacket back to reveal the gun still tucked inside its holster. What'll it be? He doesn't flinch. Are you questioning my loyalty? Are you giving me a reason to? There are a few tense moments where I steel myself for the possibility I may have to put a bullet in the closest thing I have to a friend before Killian finally lowers his glass. Oleg Belov owns an underground fight club in Brixton called Boynia. The irony of the translation isn't lost on me. Slaughterhouse, huh? How unimaginative of him. Ignoring the quip, Killian continues. It's London's equivalent of Peshawar. Just like in New York, there's a gentleman's club 4 floors above where all Belov's dirty money is sent through a rinse and spin cycle. But the basement is where you'll find him. It's where he conducts all his business. I rise from the leather couch, a countdown clock ticking in my head. I'm coming for you, motherfucker. However, as I round the glass table, Killian steps in front of me. Your father called me after all the motorway shit went down. The clock in my head stalls. How the fuck does he know about that? Whiskey soaks the sleeves of my suit as I jerk the glass out of his hand. He doesn't. He knows you. The man's your father, Renzo. Once he realized you'd taken the jet, tracking your coordinates wasn't that difficult. I stiffen. The call was a test. So you gave him a transcontinental blowjob and sold me out? Killian's expression darkens. He knew you were chasing Nero's killer, and that you'd enlist my help. I've always had your back, Renzo. But when Gianni Marchesi makes a demand, you don't backflip down the chain of command. Son of a bitch. Drawing my arm back, I hurled the glass over his head, watching as it smashes against the wall, sending dark amber whiskey trailing down the white paint. He needs your head back in the game, mate. There's more going on here than you realize. Blowing out a frustrated breath, he turns back around, his gaze narrowing as I dive my hand inside my jacket. He rushes to react, but it's too late. I already have my gun pulled, and the muzzle shoved against his forehead. Then enlighten me. Killian's stare never wavers as he digs in his pocket and retrieves his phone. After pressing a sequence of buttons, he holds it up and shoves the screen in my face. Keeping a watchful eye on him, I glance at the bulleted list with disinterest. Your father found an encrypted file on Nero's phone, he explains. Since he knows I have a talent for extracting the unextractable, he sent it to me. Knowing his black hat background like I do, I don't bother asking stupid questions. I already know he's cracked it. What did you find? Names of 10 paintings he'd been chasing down, he says with a frown. Atonement being one of them. I've pulled up pictures of most of them. With utter disregard for the gun pressed against his skull, he glances down, scrolling through his phone until he finds what he's looking for. Look for yourself. Keeping my finger on the trigger, I glance down, my heart jackhammering against my ribcage at the image filling the screen. That's a near-identical painting to the one I bought out from under Tatiana at Regency's in New York. He nods, the movement sliding the muzzle up to his hairline. That makes sense, considering he also had a file on the entire Sanders family. Shit. There's a bad feeling in my gut, a raw churning that warns me things are about to go really wrong, really fast. What the hell were you up to, Nero? I murmur, lowering the gun.
It goes deeper.
Killian pockets his phone.
Who outside the family knew Nero had pulled you into his side venture?
No one. People assumed we were still at odds, the prince and the fuck-up sharing only a mutual name and loathing.
Exactly,
he affirms, swinging his index finger at my chest.
You said Vasily came to you saying he'd heard Nero was looking to offload a painting and that his brother, Oleg, had an interested buyer. It's common knowledge that Vasily and Nero had prior dealings, but did Nero ever mention he'd shared your involvement with him?
No.
And who are the only ones with both access to Peshawar and knowledge of that painting being in Nero's possession?
My family, but that... I stop. The implication of what he's saying sinking in and taking hold.
You have a traitor, Renzo,
he says with blunt finality.
Your father wants to find Nero's killer as much as you do, but he needs you in a seat of power to do it.
Then why call you? There's a rising tide of resentment brewing inside my chest. Why not tell me this himself? Killian's cool expression lifts slightly.
Would you have listened?
Fuck. No, I wouldn't have. I would have dismissed and cut him off, my own selfish guilt riding shotgun above all else. As much as I want to fire a bullet into the mirror he shoved in front of my face, I can't ignore the reflection. As the countdown clock starts ticking again, the sound of my father's voice rings in my ear, a veiled warning that I ignored. Questions are being asked, and I can't keep making excuses for you. Then don't. I'm done waiting, Renzo. You're my son, but I'm the boss of this family, and I won't have it weakened by a hole in the infrastructure. A hole in the infrastructure. Betrayal. Nero was killed over more than just a painting, I say flatly. He stumbled onto something else. It's not a question. It's a revelation. But amidst all my iron rage and recriminations, I see Tatiana's face. I see her vulnerable and alone in our hotel suite. I hear my own voice offering a vow filled with its own holes. Te lo prometto. Turning toward the man I just pulled the gun on, I do something I've never done in my life. I fucking beg. I need you to get to the Annabelle Park Hotel and watch over Tatiana. Guard her with your life, Killian. I mean it. When he nods in acquiescence, some of the pressure in my chest eases, and I'm striding toward the hallway.
Where the hell are you going?
He calls out after me. I'm halfway out the door when I stop and speak words he won't understand. I'm going to make good on a couple of promises.
Chapter 16. Tatiana. Seb, it's me, Tatiana. Look, call me. I'm in London, but just call me. Hanging up for the third time, I rest my forehead against the hotel suite door. This is the real-life definition of irony right here. It's not all the whimsical opposites and ifs. It's when you have a twin brother who's waited 5 years for you to make contact, and now he won't pick up the damn phone. I pace the room a couple more times before I'm tumbling backward onto the bed, my neat hairstyle turning into a messy, dark halo against the white sheets. My eyelids start to flutter as I count off the seconds until my phone rings. I'm not used to stillness. All this silence is making me think. Up until now, I've forced myself to live at 1,000,000 miles an hour because the faster I run, the more detached I feel from everything. But what if I don't have to do that anymore? What if this man, this terrifying, savage, killer of a man with magic in his hands, really does help me find my daughter? My breath catches at the thought. Hope can be a dangerous thing. There are so many hurdles to cross first, so many wrongs to right. But what if? What if? Drawing my knees up, I brush my fingers along my C-section scar, remembering the one time I wasn't frightened of pain, just exhausted and relieved, with 7 pounds of perfection lying in my arms. She'd looked so much like my father and Seb, with her strange gray eyes and quiet perceptiveness, as if she'd known the hell she was being born into but was going to make it okay for us anyway. My fingers trail upwards, brushing against another scar, this time on my upper arm. I hate thinking about the night I received it, but I can't seem to hold back the memory today. I was 18 years old and 3 months pregnant. Constantine had finally gotten what he wanted, another innocent pawn in a game of chess that started long before I was born. By then, I was a hollow shell of self-loathing, dizzy from the hormones, sick of the constant lies I told to justify my crazy behavior to my parents. Constantine was driving a wedge so great between us, none of us could see the other side anymore. And he had so much ammunition. He'd shown me pictures of my naked and exposed body, ones of Seb buying drugs. He was going to leak it all to the press and destroy my father's career. He was going to beat me until I miscarried. It was almost a relief when he told me he was taking me to Russia. Decision made. No more family to push away. But first I had to make them so disgusted with me they'd be relieved to let me go.
What the fuck are you doing?
My father grabs my wrist and squeezes hard until the knife slips from my fingers. Somehow the blade ricochets off his chest and drags against my arm before it hits the floor. The wound is deep, but nothing cuts deeper than the look on his face. I've witnessed it a handful of times before, but it's never been directed at me. Until now. He's always been a smooth operator with terminal charm. He hides his danger behind an easy smile, and his respect is hard-won. It's one of the reasons why Washington has fallen so easily into the palm of his hand, like a ripe fruit begging to be spoiled. He reserves his other side, the one with the murky past and a room full of sealed police records, for those who hurt his family, and I'm only just getting started. "Do you hate me for it?" I taunt, fighting back the tears. "Does she hate me?"
I think you're fucking insane.
Tonight his gray eyes are stony and sharp, ruinous and unforgiving. There was only one clean way to sever the ties between us, but it meant hurting the person he loves just as much as he does his children. "Let her go, Rick," comes her soft voice from the doorway. He curses under his breath and drops my wrist. There's nothing he wouldn't do for her.
Can't we just ship her off to Santiago's private island and sink all the boats?
He narrows his eyes at me.
We'll only rescue her when she's outgrown the tantrums and overpriced tiaras.
"You paid for them," I retort. "You and your dirty money."
You weren't fucking complaining about it when I did, you ungrateful little...
"Rick, please, don't." Mom's fingers tighten around the doorframe. If devastation is a mask, she wears it with so much dignity. Even so, her face has no color underneath her makeup, and the corners of her mouth are pinched tight. She's wearing a silver evening dress, but the sequins lost their sparkle the moment she saw what I'd done to her favorite painting tonight. She doesn't scream or judge as she walks toward us. She just kneels next to the jagged strips of canvas that used to be Inés and starts collecting them up. Dad and I stand like statues until she's done. "We need to take you to the hospital," she says. "Your arm is bleeding." "Fuck you!"
Tatiana,
my father snarls.
You're close to eclipsing my record for teenage bullshit behavior, and that's really saying something.
"Why don't you make yourself useful, Daddy, and go buy some new voters?" He spins away and buries his hands into his black hair, muttering more curses under his breath. I think I'm winning. For the first time ever, he's perilously close to losing his shit with me. Good. But never has a word felt so contradictory and so wrong. I hate you, and I hate her. I turn back to my mother, and then I let it rip. She doesn't deserve my vitriol, but I throw it at her anyway, spewing the worst kinds of things about how she was a bad mother for fucking a bad man like my father, how her adored older sister, who I was named after, would be ashamed of who she'd married. Her first tear is what seals my fate. It catches in the light as it glides over her flawless cheek. I've never seen her cry before, but I know right then and there that I never will again. My father doesn't actually say the words, "Get the hell out of my house," but the air is infused with them, like one of those cheap car air fresheners you buy at the gas station, which overpowers everything. As I go to pass her on my way out, I slap my hand down onto hers, and the strips of canvas go flying. You always loved that painting more than me. Now you've lost us both. She doesn't answer because she knows it's not true, but my words are my arsenal tonight, and sharper than blades. It's only when I go to slam the front door that I realize Inés will never be sad again. I've stolen that emotion from her, the same way I've stolen all the happiness from my mother. The sharp ring of my phone jolts me back to Renzo's suite. When I reach for it, my cheeks are wet with tears. "Seb," I croak, "is that you?" My words are met with the telltale crackle of a long-distance line that has me scrambling up from the bed. "Constantine?" He doesn't reply at first. Instead, I hear soft, sweet laughter in the background, and it pierces my heart like an arrow. "Oh my God. Anastasia? Is that you? Come closer to the phone, baby. I can't hear you." Her laughter stops. There's a man speaking, but I can't make out what he's saying. The next thing I know, my daughter is wailing and crying and clearly terrified out of her mind. I never knew a sound could hurt so much. "Anastasia?" I scream, my own anguish echoing around the hotel suite. "Please, Constantine, don't hurt her." Eventually, I hear a door slam, and my daughter's sobs are replaced by heavy, satisfied breathing.
"Kiska,"
he purrs eventually.
"I think you have some explaining to do."
"I was the winning bid, Constantine. I did exactly what you asked of me."
"And Marchesi?"
"I don't know where he is," I say truthfully. "I'm flying back to New York in the next 2 hours."
"One of my best men is dead, Kiska."
"Punish me all you want because of it, but not our daughter."
"Is that right?"
He sucks on one of his disgusting cigarettes and blows out a wretched breath of it. I can smell it now, like gasoline and victory.
"Your invitation to Moscow has been rescinded. Perhaps I will reconsider when you learn to behave yourself again."
I shut my eyes in horror.
"You disobeyed me."
His purr switches to a snarl.
"I asked you not to speak to your brother, and you called him 3 times in the last hour alone."
"Are you tracking my phone now?"
"I am tracking every move you make, Kiska. Never forget that."
You fucking bastard. There's a single emotion stuttering back to life inside me. It's being directed at all he's done to us, and for all he's still doing. "Why do you want these paintings so much, Constantine?" He laughs in surprise. I've never questioned him about anything before because I've been too afraid to.
"I like pretty things to look at."
10 paintings in 10 months, all from different time periods with no discernible connection. Why?
"Lower your tone, Kiska. I do not expect inquisitiveness from you. I expect obedience. Fly back to New York and await my next instructions."
He hangs up. Silence falls again, but my anger lingers. I catch myself making shadow puppets on the far wall. For too long, I've been that clenched fist, tucked up in a tight ball to protect myself. I want to embody two different shapes now, choice and power. Earlier, Renzo showed me that both are within my grasp, but only if I'm brave enough to embrace them. There's another shape I want too. It's called forgiveness. Are you sure I can call long distance with this? The shop assistant drags his gaze from the TV screen above me and fixes me with a bored expression.
Yep, it's a pay-as-you-go, lady.
Great, I'll take it. Can you add 100 pounds credit?
Yup.
His eyes start to stray again. Throwing my MasterCard down on the counter, I bite my nail impatiently as I wait for the card reader to connect and for him to add the credit, and then I'm practically snatching the bag out of his hand. Finding a booth and an empty Costa coffee across the street, I grab an espresso and unpack my new device with trembling fingers. Connecting the charger to the plug socket next to me, I wait for the phone to switch on. The moment the greeting flashes up, I'm tapping in a number I still remember off by heart. A woman answers, all snappy and officious. Senator Sanders' office, how may I direct your call? Is he, available? I stutter, caught off guard by her brisk efficiency. He's in a meeting with the Senate Majority Leader right now, ma'am. Can I take a message? My newfound courage starts flailing in the wind like a ripped flag. No, I glance at the black and white photographs on the wall opposite. They're all of popular Italian holiday destinations, selling a lie about the authenticity of this place as cheaply as it sells its coffee. I pause on the last one. Rome wasn't built in a day. It needed a solid foundation first. Sorry, yes, I correct hastily. Can you please tell him his daughter called? His, daughter, I clarify with a wince. There's a shocked pause. Can I have a number for you, please, ma'am? Yes, I grab the side of the box and reel off my new phone's details, adding the international prefix. Did you mean it, Seb? Is he really going to pick up the phone for me after all this time? After all I've done? I hang up, and 10 seconds later it's ringing. 001 code. America. Hello?
Tatiana?
The picture of Rome starts to blur. My father's voice will always be home. That familiar mocking drawl, his open doorway. There's no anger anymore, just a battered kind of love and concern.
Sweetheart, is that you?
Yes, I whisper.
Where are you?
London. There's a rustling on the line, like he's moving somewhere fast.
I'm on my way to the jet right now. I'll be with you in 8 hours. Just tell me where.
It's so instinctive, this parental need to seek and protect. I recognize it in his tone. His actions. If he could teleport himself, he'd sign the waiver in a heartbeat. Like I would, to be reunited with Anastasia. There's no need. I'm flying home in an hour. I was just wondering. The rustling noise stops abruptly. I can tell he's waiting with bated breath for my next words. I was just wondering if I could come to the penthouse. There's something I want to say. After the longest pause, he finally answers, his wicked drawl in full flow.
I guess that would be okay, but only if you're bringing a 1787 Chateau Lafite. Don't bother if it's another vintage. Now, if you really want to fucking apologize, I hear the Chateau Margaux from the same year is exceptional.
I let out a sob of relief.
It's going to be okay, sweetheart.
He reassures, switching back from smooth criminal and politician to concerned father.
Whatever happened, it's never too late to fix it.
Seb, I need to speak to him urgently. Is he...
Fuck knows where he is, but I'll find him. He'll be here. We'll all be here. Mom, too.
Thank God. Hanging up, I reach down to unplug the charger. As I do, a man slides into the booth opposite me. I freeze when I see the flash of metal beneath his black leather jacket. No.
Do not scream,
he says calmly, his voice laced with that same familiar accent I've grown to dread.
Oleg Belov wants all of those to himself.
Who are you? I demand, my voice high and strained. Where's Renzo?
There's a car waiting out front for you, Suka.
He curls his top lip in distaste.
If you ever want to see Marchesi alive again, I suggest we pay my Pacan a visit.
Chapter 17. Renzo. Calling Oleg's choice of business ventures unimaginative was a gross understatement. Boynia looks like someone pressed Control-Alt-Delete on Pressure A, only to reboot it 3,500 miles across the Atlantic. The exterior reeks of the same scarlet and black undertones as a club back in New York. I watch from the shadows as a carbon copy of society's top elite disappear inside the heavily guarded doors to indulge in its sanctioned depravity behind a crystal facade. And just like its New York counterpart, London's most revered gentleman's club is just window dressing for the real carnage lying 4 floors below. Moving around the building, I find a narrow set of stairs hidden behind the overbearing architecture. Unimaginative and predictable. By the time I reach the final landing, my contempt is rabid. In a familiar motion, I deliver 2 firm knocks on the wooden door, standing calm and focused until a light on a square box to the side flickers red. Password. A Russian accent barks through the intercom. Killian didn't provide one, but considering Oleg doesn't seem to have an original thought in his head, I take a risk. Chistilisha, I say, reciting the same cliched code Vasily uses for Peshera. The moment the red light turns green, I swing the door open, gun in hand and my finger on the trigger. There'll be no jacket check this time. The slaughterhouse will earn its name tonight. A guard appears in front of me, his mouth rounding for a protest, but a bullet soon silences it. 1 down. Stepping over his lifeless body, I continue toward the main part of the arena, but with every echoing step, my stride slows. It's too quiet. Something's wrong. My hand tightens around the grip of my gun as I take in the empty bleachers and stainless concrete floor. Where the fuck are the spectators? The underground fight club, an illegal ring that runs on bloodlust 7 days a week, is unnaturally empty. There's no overpowering stench of blood and sweat, no sounds of bone crashing against metal. This is no accident. It's a fucking mousetrap. Clap, clap, clap. A tall figure emerges from the shadows, his slow clapping reverberating off the concrete walls. With each step, the shadows recede, revealing a man who's traded his shitty gray suit for the more venue-appropriate attire of jeans and a black button-up. Oleg Belov. The nearer he gets, the harder he claps. Renzo Marchesi, he says, raking an appraising gaze over me. Congratulations, you have found me. It seems Vasily was wrong. You do have more brains than your brother, which I admit is impressive, since I watched most of it explode against the wall in Atlantic City. My response is to level the barrel of my gun right between his eyes. He doesn't flinch. Not because he doesn't think I won't pull the trigger, but because he knows I came here for answers as well as revenge. Slow night, Oleg? Or is your lack of clientele a byproduct of shitty management? He chuckles at the insult. Bonya is closed. Glancing over my shoulder, he arches a disinterested eyebrow at his newly deceased guard before settling that smug gaze back on me. Private fight, he adds. Enough of this. Cut the shit, I growl. The need to shut him up with a bullet too tempting. We both know why I'm here. You know, since you murdered my brother, skipped town, came back from the dead, then ran away from me like a little bitch. He laughs. You Italians think you're so smart, when in reality you are nothing but discarded Blatfoot tools. Dismissing me with the flick of his wrist, he walks toward the cage as if I don't have a loaded gun aimed at him. You sure about that? I say, watching him closely. How do you know I haven't played you? I may not be part of a fucked-up brotherhood with a hard-on for throwing each other under a bus, but I'm good at exploiting delicate situations. I let that sink in before adding, How do you know Constantine didn't send me here? He pauses, his jaw ticking at the mention of his oldest brother's name. Gotcha, fucker. I see Killian Davies has been talking. Or maybe you just underestimated me, and I'm just that goddamn smart after all. Let's be honest, you don't have the greatest track record, Oleg. Vasily did sell you out by telling me about the auction. I'm throwing taunts like darts, hoping one hits. I know I've gotten close when his smirk drops to a scowl. And that traitorous piece of shit is now floating face down in the Hudson because of it. And your reason for turning on Constantine? What about you, comrade? He sneers, ignoring the question. You handed your brother over to me with nothing more than a few concealed agendas and bullshit art rhetoric. Did you want to be underboss so badly that it simply slipped your mind? Bradford bastard. He's goading me, trying to gain the upper hand. Unfortunately for him, my arsenal of intel is well stocked and ready to fire. How long have you been working with the rat in my family? So many questions, he tuts. But 4 floors down, information comes with a price. He flashes me a vicious smile. You should know that better than anyone. What do you want? He nods toward the empty metal cage. Fight for it. You? I let out a hearty laugh. Gladly. Niet. After clapping his hands twice, a door opens near the back of the arena, and in walks a genetically engineered tank, his enormous 6-foot fucking 17 frame stopping a few inches behind Oleg. Bonia's main event, he states nastily. Undefeated in 207 straight fights. His fans call him the Undertaker. He smirks at the granite-faced man, for obvious reasons. Reasons meaning 207 wins equate 207 kills. Not interested. I will tell you everything you want to know, but first you must earn it. Vasily always bragged that Pesharaz's Widowmaker could beat any Bonya fighter. Let us see if he was right. Irritated at the turn of events, I swing my gun between them. Or I could just shoot you both right now. Duh, but then you will never know the truth. We all make sacrifices. His smile widens. Funny you should say that. Once again, the door behind him opens. This time, my fucking heart flatlines as Tatiana stumbles out into the arena, her slender arm engulfed in the guard's tight grip as he shoves her forward. Killian didn't reach her in time. Acting on instinct, I start moving toward her when Oleg shouts something in Russian, and the muzzle of a gun is jabbed into her side. I freeze when I see her face. Let her go. This is between you and me. The Russian Pakan surveys the scene, his mouth curling in distaste. She's not a part of this. You made her a part of this when you brought her here. Turning toward Tatiana, he says,
And do not make the mistake of thinking I am not aware of who you bought that painting for, Kiska.
He motions toward the cage.
Fight and win, Marchesi, and I will give you the information you want, as well as the sukkah. But if you lose...
His voice trails off as a slow smile stretches across his face.
You'll die watching my men fuck every hole she has.
If Oleg was expecting a reaction from Tatiana for this, he's shit out of luck. She's stronger than that. She's smarter. Her eyes remain on mine the whole time.
Look at me, Suka, not him.
Losing his temper, Oleg strikes her with the back of his hand. Rage pounds a thick and heavy beat through my veins. He touched her. Those 3 words slide like an avalanche inside my head, gathering speed and strength with each repetition. Lowering my gun, I walk a solemn path toward the metal cage, averting my eyes as Oleg settles Tatiana into one of the 2 metal chairs outside the ring. I toss my gun away to the raspy sound of sliding metal across concrete as I kick off my shoes and rip off my jacket and red tie. Nothing matters but winning. The killing machine climbs in after me, his movements stiff and robotic as he tries to stare me down. "You will die," he clips in a heavy Russian accent. "Not today, motherfucker." It goes against everything I know to attack first, but I can't waste time on strategy when there's a loaded gun being pointed at Tatiana. With an animalistic roar, I throw an overhand punch that lands like a hammer against solid brick. He barely flinches, which pisses me off. Before I have the chance to throw another, the bastard's on me, slamming into my left shoulder until my back is pinned against the cage. Just as his fist pulls back to shatter my nose, I find my opening and drive my knee hard into his gut, quickly followed by a hard kick to the rib cage. The back-and-forth brutality goes on for 10 more minutes, each punch growing bloodier and bloodier. We've taken each other to the mat more times than I can count. By the 20-minute mark, I'm fucking exhausted. Blood is streaming in my eyes, and I'm starting to sway. Then I hear Oleg's vicious words in my ear again. It's that image. The mere threat of any other man hurting her that sends the black walls shooting back up with renewed ferocity. After that, I feel nothing. I see nothing. All I hear is the snap of bone as I throw punch after punch, one word falling from my lips. Mine. 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 Somewhere in the distance I hear the ding-ding-ding of a bell being rung. I blink, my senses returning as my vision clears. I'm on the mat straddling my opponent's unmoving body. The Russian is nothing more than destroyed flesh and broken bones. Climbing to my feet, I stumble out of the metal cage, blood dripping from my clenched fists as I search for the woman I'd fight 100 more to protect. Our gazes collide, her chest rising and falling in time with my own. She knew my savage heart existed before, but I just laid it all out for her, and she's not flinching. It makes me want to kill 1,000 more for her. Oleg slowly rises to his feet, dragging Tatiana with him, his gun still surgically attached to her side. He looks disgusted as he glares through the open doors of the cage at his dead fighter. "Guards!" he yells, and 2 more men emerge from the shadows. "Remove this bloodok from my sight." "I want my fucking information, Oleg," I snarl, jabbing a crimson finger in his direction. He smiles.
"I told you, Marchesi, information comes with a price."
I'm calculating my next move when Tatiana's eyes widen and fix on something over my shoulder.
"Renzo!"
A beat later, hard steel comes crashing down against the back of my skull. The impact knocks me forward and onto my knees. Before I can retaliate, my arms are bound behind my back, and my own damn gun is being rammed against my temple. Take them to my office. The Russian shoves Tatiana into his guard's chest. And this time, ensure I do not encounter any further disappointments. Chapter 18. Renzo. Love breeds sacrifice, which in turn breeds hatred. I don't recall where I first heard this, but it's running on repeat in my head as 4 men drag Tatiana and me through the rear arena door. Love for my family brought me to London, but it's hatred that has me heading down a long, dark hallway in a rush of kicks and curses. So where does Tatiana fit in? Before I have a chance to consider it, we're being shoved into a sparse gray office with spidery cracks across the ceiling that look like bullet hole fragments. I land a couple of well-aimed jabs, but I'm running on fumes. Taking full advantage, Belov's men return a few gut punches that have me spitting curses and blood before they're duct-taping our hands behind our backs, shoving us into 2 chairs and leaving us alone. Once the door slams behind them, I'm twisting violently against the restraints, ignoring the pain and weariness in my arms as I fight to free us from this next layer of hell. Did they hurt you? My mind is spinning out a million scenarios I don't even want to think about. Did they fucking touch you? She shakes her head, her beautiful dark hair, so smooth and refined when I first met her, now framing her face in messy strands. She's in my world now, and I taint everything that's good.
I'm okay, but you...
Her eyes widen as she takes in the state of me.
In that cage, I thought...
You'd be missing out on the money and the painting I owe you? I chuckled darkly. I'm not dead yet, Dolcezza.
I don't give a damn about the money.
I give a damn about you. Maybe I'm delusional after too many blows to the head, but I hear that sentiment in her voice as clear as day. What happened to Killian? That British fuck had better be dead after this. I sent him back to the hotel to keep you safe.
I must have left before he arrived. I know you told me to stay there, but Constantine called.
I stopped fighting against my restraints for a moment. How much does he know?
Nothing, but time's running out.
Her voice catches, her fear palpable. Hey, I say sharply, cutting through her rising panic. We're getting the fuck out of this. Don't go sliding off the incline now.
You're right.
She gathers herself and blows out a shaky breath.
He admitted to tracking my phone, so I left the hotel to buy a new one. I know you told me not to, but I couldn't get a hold of Seb, and I panicked. I wanted to call my father next, but I couldn't do it without Constantine knowing. He'd be too suspicious. He knows we haven't spoken in 5 years.
Her confession knocks me out of my haze and into the mindset I need to be in right now. Full underboss mode. Did the man who took you say anything?
No, but I heard him talking in Russian to another man.
She winces.
He said his pecan was looking forward to seeing your face when you discovered who your whore's master really was.
Her words sink in hard and deep, churning up a glimmer of a possibility. Tatiana, he hasn't figured it out yet. When Belov comes back in here, act like you've told me nothing.
I don't understand.
He still thinks Constantine has hold over you, that you wouldn't dare risk Anastasia's life by telling me about her, or him. I hold her gaze, 4 words resting on my tongue. Do you trust me? After a beat, she nods.
With our lives.
Our lives. Those 2 words mean more than she'll ever know. I failed Nero, but I won't fail her. We're getting the fuck out of here, and then we're getting Anastasia the fuck out of Moscow. Our heads turn in sync toward the door. Heavy footsteps are approaching. Once my hands are free, be ready for anything. And Tatiana, Catching hold of her gaze again, I bleed as much truth into her as I can before all hell breaks loose. Just know from this moment on, all the bullshit I say isn't to you, it's for you. The door swings open, and Oleg Belov stands on the threshold, smoking a cigarette like he's just had the best fuck of his life. I owe you information, Renzo. Saying nothing, I twist at my restraints again as he walks at a leisurely pace toward his desk. Leaning against the front of it, he considers us coolly as he takes another couple of tokes. Let's start with the part where Konstantin and I cut Vasily out of the Sale of Atonement due to his repetitive threats. Flicking the cigarette away, trailing smoke over his left shoulder, he picks up a knife from the desk and starts twisting it around his fingers. Is this strictly a fill-in-the-blank story, or are there multiple choices? I drawl. Threats about what? To expose Miss Sanders and her daughter for a bigger share of the cut. He flicks his gaze between us as he drops his bomb. Too bad for him, we pulled the pin ourselves. I saw her scar. I already know her secrets. I had his throat slit for that, and for being such a useless svolic. As much as I enjoyed killing your brother, I did do all the work. What daughter? I demand, playing along. In response, Tatiana stiffens beside me, her sharp inhale right on cue. Oleg laughs. I guess she did not tell you that part. Pushing away from the desk, he stops in front of me, still twisting his fucking knife between his fingers. I have a niece, Lorenzo. Your Suka opened her legs for my brother first. I force a glare at Tatiana and keep my voice as cold as ice. What else have you lied to me about? She stares at me, projecting wide-eyed terror, and I want to fucking worship her for it. She and the girl are Konstantin's dirty little secret, he continues. One that forced him to give me Bonya in exchange for my silence. But Vasily could not be trusted with this information. Pausing, he turns to Tatiana. He had, how do you say, loose lips. He still found a way to blackmail you both, I taunt, maneuvering this self-congratulatory speech back on track. He's so consumed by his own narcissism he doesn't see my hands working behind my back. Almost there. Not him, Modak, Oleg smiles, pointing his knife in my face. I believe you know his accomplice well. Very well, in fact. I know where this is going. The betraying bastard's name is on the tip of my tongue, but I need the confirmation to spill from his first. Her machine has many moving parts, Lorenzo. He leans back on his desk again, his black gaze lingering over Tatiana. Just as every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yours and mine started with an alliance between our late grandfathers, until your father allied with the Mexicans. At the mention of the Carrera cartel, he spits on the ground. 30 years of business down the drain. That is, until your Uncle Salvatore was persuaded to cross the battle lines. And there's the confirmation. The fucking traitor himself. He took our family's sacred Omerta code of silence and shit all over it. While you and Nero ran your art business, Salvatore and Vasily founded their own partnership. Your uncle tipped off my brother about the atonement, and in return, Vasily promised both Johnny's sons would meet an untimely end. There never was a buyer, was there, you piece of shit? You set up the meeting yourself. My brother died because of your goddamn family free-for-all. Oleg's mood takes a sharp nosedive.
Your brother died for money. My wrist finally break free. He died for a group of 10 paintings belonging to one family, Petrov. As the name slithers from his lips, he turns toward Tatiana. A name that should sound familiar to you, Kiska. Your mother's side, I believe. Now that story is a lot more interesting. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Did you set me up? I roar at Tatiana.
No, I swear.
Oleg starts laughing again as he slots another cigarette between his lips, tilting his head to light it.
Well, this has been entertaining. I have a plane to catch.
He straightens up with a smirk.
There is still a painting in America that belongs to me. I believe you outbid her for it last week.
This time, Tatiana's shock isn't fabricated. 1. Reaching behind him, he pulls a gun from his waistband, a fucking familiar one, and swings the barrel between us, settling it first on Tatiana. 2.
I think I will start with you, Suka. My own private fuck you to Konstantin's little toy.
3. Lunging out of my chair, I charge at him like a raging bull. Amidst the chaos, he fires off a single shot, the bullet skimming off the tip of my shoulder before I'm slamming him into the wall. A shoulder, a lung, a heart. I don't give a fuck, so long as it's my blood, not hers. As long as I give Nero his justice. I hear Tatiana scream as we fight for the weapon. One moment I have his wrist pinned in the air, the next I'm taking an elbow to the chin, and he's twisted the muzzle between us, his finger curling around the trigger. Hell no, it doesn't end like this. With my last burst of strength, I grab the barrel away from my chest and shove it upward, half a second before he pulls the trigger. A violent spray of blood hits my face, and there's a beat of suspended silence. When I step back, I watch in satisfaction as what's left of the Russian drops to the floor. The bullet entered somewhere under his chin and exited... Well, I'm not sure where the hell it exited. Most of his skull is splattered across the wall. Retrieving my gun, I tuck it back in its holster as a commotion from the main arena announces the impending arrival of the Russian cavalry. Quickly locking the door, I buy us a few extra seconds as I cross back to a shell-shocked Tatiana and slice the tape from her wrists with Oleg's knife. We need to get the hell out of here, and we need to do it now. Grabbing her hand, I drag her out of a side door through a labyrinth of hallways and stairwells until we're spilling out onto Boyna's scarlet, black, and crystal-encrusted main floor, where some blonde teenager is gyrating for survival in front of a group of middle-aged men. She stops dead when she sees us, her tits somewhere near her knees. All heads turn to us, but the patrons don't move. Any security guard stupid enough to block our path is rewarded with a bullet to their chest.
Renzo, I can't run anymore.
I hear her gasping for breath as we explode onto the street. Nearly there, Dolcezza. 2 blocks later, we reach my car. My keys are long gone, but years of Grand Theft Auto as a kid taught me how to hotwire like a pro. In less than 2 minutes, we're on the M1 headed toward the airport, and I'm barking out instructions to my pilot over the speakerphone. There's no time to go back to the hotel, I tell her, hanging up.
Just get me on that plane, Renzo,
she says warily.
I think I'm done with London.
Finally, something we can agree on. I increased the speed to 90. You did well back there.
I didn't have a choice.
Glancing across, I see her fingers sliding along the silver chain of her locket again as she stares out of the window.
Where did you learn to fight like that?
School of Hard Knocks. I catch her glancing at me now.
Your shoulder, Renzo.
Hesitant fingers touch my skin, a couple of inches above my bicep, where Bullock's lucky shot ripped a hole in my shirt. Needs a few stitches, nothing more. Silence blankets us as I coax the car up to 100.
Thank you.
She says quietly. For what?
For keeping your promise.
Not yet, I murmur, but I'm working on it.
I know you came here for your brother.
I hated him. My stark words carved their dirty truth into my soul. It's not the time for a confessional, but I'm going there anyway. Something about her always seems to force my truth to the surface. I resented him for being my father's favorite, for having the fucking nerve to be born first, for pinning me as the eternal runner-up. I shake my head at how ridiculous it all sounds now. I spent 33 years blaming him for my own failures. Eventually, he gave up on the notion of a ceasefire, and the hate became mutual.
Who started the art venture?
He did. I ease off the pedal when I see a white cop car in the distance. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. Then a few months before his death, he showed up on my doorstep with an offer, a chance to bury the hatchet and join forces. I never wanted it, though. I was happy to keep tossing our mutual hate back and forth while playing the role of loose cannon to his heir apparent.
What changed your mind?
I think of Nero's odd behavior and final plea.
There's something going on that's bigger than all this bullshit rivalry between us. I need someone I can trust with me, and blood is stronger than any oath.
It's like he knew the end was coming. I grimace at the memory. I can't